Crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
It's time for the crossover, brought to you by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com. Hi, Jet Award Boy Table guys.
Jet Award Boy Table guys.
Fellow table mates.
We were there last night. I think we had the best table. It was voted on by many.
Yeah, they should.
The greatest table. Some are
Best
saying
table. They should vote on the best table.
Maybe the booths elevated our table.
big time.
Rob.
Yeah. I was making Mr. Booth crack up. I was giving him some one-liners. I was doing a good job.
You're like, how about that Creighton volleyball?
No. No. I did not lead off with that. I was just making fun of some of the people and some of the things around, and he thought it was real funny.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, I was just making jokes. He was. Guy's cracking up. You know?
How about that in September? What are you going to be doing?
That's
when Butler rolls into Sokol, hey,
So-
you got to take the fam on a
So
trip.
this is Gary's attempt at doing a Chicago accent. He's decided to reel off
what that
of
was?
being high pitched, and now it's actually gotten worse.
Coach Holderson?
I didn't even ask him a question yesterday, but I asked EJ a question.
Nice.
So
Nice. I like it. Keep doing that. Keep doing that.
Yeah, it's good.
Not losing voice.
well, it's your fault. You know that.
Well, the impressions are a form
not
of
very good at
flattery.
For someone who's really good friends, really close friends with Frank Caliendo, you're pretty crap at impressions.
Yeah.
That should be a good segment.
I pick my spots.
What do you do? What do you think you do the best of?
He does
like,
the
is
best
there
Gus Johnson.
Everyone's got one impression, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got one impression where they're like, "Hey, I'm pretty damn good at that one."
Yeah, but I don't go around being like, "Hey, you want to hear my?"
You want to hear my I course?
Yeah, right.
I do a mean moose.
Yeah.
You have one. Yeah, I know you have it. I know you know
I'm
what it
sure
is.
There's one in there somewhere. It comes up.
Odson, do you do a good walking? I picture you as a guy who does a great. Wow.
The watch.
I'm Bruce Dickens.
And I think and I don't know how guys like Frank Caliendo, how they get to that point where they have it down to a science.
Oh, it's amazing.
I think you have to spend time either around them or just study them. Like, I can't be around, he's a dear friend, John Baylor, because I start talking like John Baylor. It only takes about 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah.
like your responses to him are in his voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he doesn't. here's
That's
the
how I
thing.
get when I go to the East Coast.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the accent's there.
Oh, you think I'm insufferable here? Wait until I'm back on the mainland.
Yeah, but then
back. I mean, it
back
gets
on the
even worse,
mainland.
man.
But that's just like everybody. Then you're just one with the people.
I know. I don't even hear it anymore.
Yeah, it's not even there.
But see, like JB is, he kind of thinks it's
Please-
funny.
Please do it. Can you please do it?
I can't do it. And he might be listening because I think he's doing business in Omaha today. Hey, there's her.
Yeah, yeah.
That is the greatest advice I've ever received. Was I met John
All the
Baylor
grandkids.
very young, very younger than I am now, and at the time, John Baylor, oh my God, voice of Nebraska volleyball, and he goes, you know what, it's great you're passionate about broadcasting, and you guys are pretty good. Make sure you start a business before you get into broadcasting. He's like,
Good take.
He goes, before you do anything,
Yeah.
start your own business.
Unfortunately,
And-
we have decided to pass on that.
If
Skip
John is
that
listening,
step.
John, I did not follow your advice.
Yeah.
Unless that business is gambling. then
Baylor
I've,
test prep so he was doing it out of his car. He owned a little Honda when we were both working at KLIN. And so he had this on the side. He was trying to be a broadcaster. He was trying to be a radio guy, but he was big into this Baylor test prep. And, he tried to bring some people initially into it, but he was like a one-man band, selling himself all over the state, teaching and stuff. Yeah. He has like 20 people that work
Yeah,
for him now?
he's doing pretty
my
good.
Yeah.
Lord.
Oh yeah, he's worked hard at it.
That's incredible.
He's developed it, and he still teaches in person. So he is absolutely right. But he also knows, the radio business.
Oh no, I'm not
Radio
saying it was bad
business.
advice.
Yeah.
How
I just
great
thought
it
was-
is?
I just thought it was just a funny story. It's just,
One day you're Dan the weatherman, the next day you're just Dan.
I was waiting to be.
It can happen that way. It could happen that way.
It always happens.
Who knows? Who knows?
Let me tell you what, man. Connor
Is
Happer,
that
man.
Gruden?
Let me tell you what, man.
All right. Okay. All right.
We
When
were able to figure it
I
out.
think of Connor Happer, man, I think of a gunslinger, man.
Set hut.
Set hut.
Mhm.
Set hut.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you're a good looking guy, man. Like if I were you, I'd be walking around Omaha Beach with a rope chain.
Omaha Beach.
Try Myrtle Beach with a rope
Yeah,
chain.
it's like Omaha Beach.
There's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
Tell you what,
Hasn't he, and,
Le'Veon Bell.
is Madden the only one that really initially got upset at his impersonations?
Yes. That is so the story is that Madden did not like it. And then he started doing John Madden in front of John Madden and his kids, or his like grandkids. And the grandkids started to laugh and they thought it was funny. And then Madden was like, oh, you're not just, being a Richard. Like this is an entertainment comedy thing. And
Yes.
then he got on it.
Yes. I'm glad he figured that out.
Yeah.
Glad he figured that out eventually.
I could do back in the day a Solich one because Frank had like a couple of crutch words like certainly,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd use it quite often.
Mm-hmm.
I could do Paul Sandiford a little bit after doing his radio show because he would have a couple of crutch words. Like Rule doesn't have
Rule.
I think
year
Rule-
one Rule. I could do an impression of. I can't. I've been away. Like he hasn't used the same words as much, and so I can't do it as well as I used to. But year one Rule, I could do it because it was all you had to hit the keywords. You had to hit standard. You always had to. You had to hit standard. You had to say culture. You had to say our guys. Like it was all like the coach cliche first year stuff with Rule.
Yeah.
But standard was like the word. Like every 8 words.
How close are we to Holgo?
He's a tough one.
Oh, I don't know. I think we're gonna get there.
I think
You mean
people
the
are gonna be able to do
impersonation
it.
or his
No,
words that he
no, not necessarily the words, but just he's got to deliver.
he does.
It's
I got the Red
it's-
Bull part
It's
down.
around. It's around here.
There you go. You got that.
It's around this area.
Yeah, it's kind
You're
of
kind of
gravelly.
you're kind of like a little bit. You're like a little bit off of Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2. Like you're a dialed back Arthur Morgan.
Wouldn't you like to hear him on a headset during a
Lenny.
game?
I would love it.
Oh,
He
that'd
would.
be incredible.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have very much to say. Just very specific directives.
So one thing that was
Right.
said, and it wasn't like they didn't have problems with the play and understanding it, but Satterfield, when he was calling plays, has a
Satty.
Southern accent
Nice.
and Southern drawl, and so there were some times you would have to go, "What'd you say? Repeat that, please."
Be like Matt calling plays. Like, hold on.
X-Jet, Y49er, 22, scat right, on 3-on-3, ready.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's fine.
Pretty
Hey,
succinct.
we're going to go with the annexation of Puerto Rico, Y-scat, Z-flat. See, I can't call plays, man.
Well, if you had one in front of you, you'd
I could probably do it.
You'd
Should I
probably
look
be
up
able
a
to
play
figure it
call?
out. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too many of them. Just
What's your favorite play?
He will ring your what? He'll
Oh.
ring your bell, man.
Um,
Knock
Hey.
on wood if you're with me.
this is why we were so good in high school at Urbandale High School. We didn't have like 46 trap. You know,
I know. The plays used to be so simple.
Yeah. 46 trap on 3 break.
Plays
And
on
then we just-
Madden, they're like 3 words long.
And you run like 46 plays a game, and like 32 of them are trap, dive.
Yeah, they don't have like X's in them and Y's and
Yeah.
Z's. And then you like watch the Gruden quarterback film.
Yeah.
And he's having like Will Howard and others just run through a play. And they're like, you only have a certain amount of time before you have to snap the ball.
Mhm.
But you're like spending 15 seconds just describing the play. Like in the NFL.
I know.
I know you listen for like key phrases. You don't sometimes memorize the whole play. You just know what you're supposed to do and what is said.
Yeah.
But like as a quarterback, hello.
You got to have it all. You got to know it all. The numbers and what they correlate to.
I'm
have
trying to
no
find.
idea.
I'm trying
It
to
was
find one.
hard enough for me to remember the stuff that we learned in middle school and high school. It's like, oh, okay. That means that. That means that. That means what? Oh, I don't care what the offensive line is going to do. Block. That should be in every play.
How would you like to
At
begin-
30, 40 fake dive pitch, throwback, offensive line, you block. Go.
Just keep it simple.
Done.
Hey, how would you like to be at Augusta and you haven't teed off yet and you're already 18 shots behind the leader?
Goo.
Nick Dunlop, who shot a 95 yesterday.
Oh.
Nice.
No, wait, he shot 90, so he's in 95th place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there wasn't like a I was looking at scorecard. There wasn't like a panic hole. It was just bad golf. It was just like 7-7, 5-5, 6-7.
He should have urinated in Rays Creek.
That guy gives no bleeps.
No.
What's wrong with that guy?
Well,
Have some decorum.
no, do you think he doesn't understand Augusta? Because remember, his coach showed up the other day in shorts.
Right.
And they have a strict policy. His coach got kicked out.
That's the same guy with the upside down letters hat. And
Yes.
and then he told him, and then it's like, hey, did you go pee in Rays Creek? He was like, yeah.
And
he's like, do you
your
think
problem is
the follow up was like, do you think that will be? Do you think you'll get some blowback on that? Do you think that'll be an issue? He's like, oh, I don't really think so. I was like, yeah, I think you're wrong.
Jose Luis Ballastor.
Yeah, but
ASU.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy. Mm-hmm. He peed in the creek, Josh,
Why?
because it's a body of water and
'Cause
he
he had
needed
to
to
go.
unload
because
his
he doesn't
bodily
understand
fluid.
decorum.
He didn't know that there
he
was
doesn't know
facilities
ball.
located like close to Rays Creek.
When you got to go, you got to go.
Just ask somebody.
So he pissed in the creek.
Aren't golfers slower than ever? Isn't that the thing? Like, isn't there nothing but time?
Well, I think he was playing behind Cantley and Harmon, so he probably should have had plenty of time.
Nice.
I mean, there's when sometimes you gotta. I mean, we've all done it, right?
Nobody like coached up.
Yeah,
his
not on
coach and his
Augusta
team,
National
like-
during the Masters where cameras are everywhere.
Yeah.
I have not.
Did
done
someone
that.
get footage of him peeing in the creek?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if
I feel like it's got.
he said he was able to hide from the cameras at least a little bit, but then everybody saw him. How about this guy? So I'm about to throw this one up on the stream here. If you're watching along with us, did you guys see this one yesterday at the Masters? Like this hat? You like this, Gary? Why don't you come around and check out that hat?
Egg.
Yeah,
Yes. So
Pretty
that was
great.
when I
not
think-
great at all.
So is that the picture from the 16th?
Yes.
Why
Yes.
don't you like it?
I just think. Josh, what do you think about that
Egg
hat?
salad hat.
I love that. That's awesome. So I had the egg
Oh,
salad.
so bad it's good.
I took a scoop of the egg salad yesterday. A little salty. A little too salty for my liking.
A little too salty.
A little too salty. You need to dial back
Would
on
you-
the salt.
So you would not get a hat that's.
I would totally get a hat that's an egg salad. I think that would be absolutely hysterical.
I don't know
Can
what
you
this
imagine
guy-
if his two other friends, one got pimento cheese and the other one got barbecue?
Yeah,
You just walk around.
this guy just looks like
We're the
he
sandwich.
kind of
boys.
looks like Phil Mickelson a little bit.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does.
No, he
and
doesn't.
Do you
and
think it
his
is Phil
hat,
Mickelson?
and then his hat just says egg salad in
I'm not gonna miss
giant
the cut,
letters.
so I'm just going to sit in the gallery.
Egg salad.
It's a great hat.
No, it's not.
It's a great hat.
It's a bad.
You're a
hat.
guy that wore a Creighton hat and had Creighton backwards or upside down or whatever the hell it was.
As
and
is
you're
the
judging
style
hats?
at the time.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Well, it's better.
I don't
egg
like the
salad
hat, but
is
I
better than
understand
that.
it's a
I think
style.
It's funny.
You don't like upside down letters hats?
I like egg salad better than upside down letters.
Really, I disagree.
I can't put upside down letters in between two pieces of bread and enjoy it.
That's true. That's true. But you can't put the letters. You can't put a hat inside of a sandwich either.
I definitely could if I tried.
I would eat this hat.
I would eat everything. I was part of the Clean Play Club yesterday. There were some people who weren't a part of the Clean Play Club.
One time, one of our coaches was.
But stop.
What's the Clean Play Club?
Well, I was getting shamed because I left a stack of mashed potatoes on my plate by
Oh, Clean Play.
Animal
Clean.
over here.
Yeah, Clean Play Club.
who was like, I cleaned my plate off.
That was not a requirement last night.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
okay.
It's only proper.
Yeah, I mean,
That's okay.
It's only proper to eat your full meal and get your. I mean, that was.
I don't think anybody
that
cares.
was, that was an incredible meal of protein, vegetables, and starches that we were provided.
Those were all things that were on the plate.
It was
Yes.
a big
full meal.
old piece of cake.
That chicken piccata. Good chicken
I thought it
piccata.
was a fine. It was a fine meal.
It was a good banquet meal.
It was a really good lemon verblanc.
What's that?
That's the sauce.
Oh,
of the
okay.
piccata.
All right. Yeah, it was definitely had a
Mhm.
tang
I think
to
you
it.
way overthink your food.
Definitely.
It's there, eat it.
Look,
You're so entrenched in I'm the host of a morning show. I have to have a take about everything. You can't just live your life. Just live your
okay.
life.
Can
man.
I just tell you
Interesting,
something right
Josh.
now?
This is interesting.
Before I became a morning show host, I believed I had to have a take about everything. All right, so let's just stop it right there. That my name getting plastered on some walls made me think I have to have a take. All right?
Take, boy.
I came out of the womb
That's
being like, this place, I don't know, Ma. I kind of liked it back in there. That was my take when I came out.
You should get one of those big hats that says "Take Boy."
Take boy.
Take
Whatever
boy.
you call me that. Take boy. All right. Secondly, and you know this, Josh. You've seen My Eyes Only. I'm a foodie. I'm a food guy. All right.
Oh, that's right.
I'm a food guy.
I like to cook food. You see, I don't know if Gary's seen it, but I have a full.
I don't know anyone who's not a food guy.
I have a full. I don't know. I don't think my co-host is after the fact he didn't clean off his plate.
He likes
yesterday.
food.
I like food.
Yeah.
Not potatoes, which is crazy. You don't like mashed potatoes? What are we doing here?
He likes it. He just didn't
look
eat
at
it.
this. This is my album of all the food that I've cooked.
Why do you have to take pictures of it?
Because I'm proud of the creations that I've made. All right. There's an egg drop soup in there. Do you know that I created a broth for 6 hours and then I made egg drop soup?
I don't see any of those pictures out there on. Why don't you have a Instagram account?
Well, they're for My Eyes Only.
Well,
So what's the benefit of that?
you're obviously not that proud of
Unless
it.
you're
then.
taking them to go, okay, this is how I made it this time, next time. For your eyes only, why are you taking a picture?
Because it's a sense of pride. Does every picture you take need to be up on the internet? I mean, this is you guys, screenagers over here, just saying that every picture
how
we
many
take, I gotta post.
in your bedroom back at your parents' house in Chicago? How many participation trophies do you have?
4. I got 4. I got 6 medals I actually won, 2 trophies I actually won, and then 4 participation.
You have a count?
I'm a competitive guy, all right? And you know what? Yeah, we counted how many trophies we had because I needed to have more than my brother.
Well, I'm the most competitive guy.
I'm more competitive than you are.
I'm not so sure.
How many ribbons have you gotten? Like, hey,
We
thanks
only
for
have
playing.
2 ribbons. We got ribbons. I came in 4th place at the St. Patrick's 2018 cross country invitational, and then I came in 6th place in the Immaculate Conception High School cross country invitational. That was in 2018 as well.
Wow. It's a shame that they weren't giving out ribbons last night for people who ate their food.
Oh, they should have, and I would have received a ribbon, and the 3 of you wouldn't have.
That's not true. I ate all my food.
Okay, well, you would have received a ribbon then.
I didn't quite finish the cake.
Okay, well, neither did I. I mean,
Weird.
That
I
cake was-
finished all my cake.
that cake was out there for like 4 hours. I mean, that cake was sitting out there. I mean, and there was a layer of mousse in there too, and it's like that's got to be kind of refrigerated if you're gonna have a lot of that mousse.
I like a cold cake.
I prefer cold cakes.
Thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good too. I liked it all, and I ate it all.
Wow, never had this much scrutiny of a Jet Award meal.
Yeah.
I know. This is
You just go, they provide a meal, you're very gracious, and you
No, it was a
enjoy
great
the
meal.
program and you eat it.
It was a great meal. I'm ashamed of you
Michael's
guys for
going
not
to be
finishing
here
a great
later
meal.
today. Let's be kind.
I've never seen Michael the way that Michael gets at the Jet Award.
That was a
banquet.
different Michael Severe last
Yeah,
It
night.
was a little.
It's running around.
Yeah,
He was
People are-
locked in.
People are calling him Mike.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought that was funny. Yeah,
They forgot,
There's a hard and fast rule.
he's got
Would-
a lot of managing of people,
Mhm.
managing of things of
Yeah.
that nature.
See, this is a good question for the crossover. Would he prefer to be called apostrophe or Mike?
See, we could ask that this afternoon.
But yes, in his role, which he has got to, get all the people together. He does a really, really good job. But I suggest moving forward that we let Johnny have a section of the program where it's just Johnny unhinged, Johnny ad-libbing.
15 minutes.
Johnny stand up.
Yes,
Yes.
Johnny stand up.
A
Johnny
15-minute
open
set.
Johnny open mic.
That sounds like a great nickname.
Johnny open mic. Nice. That's a good idea. I thought
Yeah.
that was what we were trending to in the
He's-
latter
I know, and
stages.
then Michael stepped in and he really ruined it.
He said that the greatest Denver Bronco was there, and I was looking for John Elway. I was like, John's here? I was seeing a lot of great football players. Where did John go?
I feel like there might have been a commotion
Yeah, I
if
know.
that was true.
Is Shannon Sharp somewhere? Is he just screaming Lakers in 5 and in the back of the Jet Award? We haven't heard him all night. Skip.
Mm,
Wow.
mm, mm.
That was a good program. You guys have a wonderful show today.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, have a good weekend.
Thank
got
you.
no baseball this weekend?
No, I don't. And I've realized this week that my car is in dire shape.
Oh no.
Of a car wash?
It needs to be washed and cleaned on the inside.
Great weekend.
You know,
to do
I
it.
got little crumbs that are
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of just built up
You got
into
a child.
Yeah. Well, she's not really in there very much, but it's me.
Okay.
It's mostly me eating breakfast and just the little crumbs.
So when we go into the subscription car washes, are you on the right side or the left side?
So I like to use the blower.
Okay.
I like to use the blower and just because there's just little crevices in the area that you just blow all that stuff out and then you wipe it down in there. Yeah, I'm a single wash.
Okay.
I'm a single wash guy.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not subscribed. It's kind of a principle thing.
Okay.
I'm a
a
car
quickie.
wash subscriber guy.
I'm a quickie.
Yeah.
I've
And now
heard
that
that
they've
about you.
expanded where they're not just in standalones, they're in some convenience stores. I'm like, this is great.
Hmm.
But you can go to one on 114th and Dodge. Well, 120th and Dodge.
Yeah.
And
They're everywhere.
They will clean, instead of you doing it yourself.
That's right.
They will do it for you.
There was
That's
a
right.
car wash magnate at the Jet Awards last night, from what Mr. Chris Prudon told me.
Really
a guy that owns a lot of car washes.
Yeah.
interesting.
Hmm.
Interesting. Good thing nothing was said about
it pays
that.
to sit next to Chris Prudon.
Yeah, he's got the script.
He will plug you in.
He had the script. He had the full script.
I did not know there was a car wash magnet.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Mafia?
You got some of your eye.
No, he had
Okay.
he had quite the prize on his arm.
Okay. All right.
Just like you, Josh.
That's right. I had Connor Happer next to me last night.
No, I was talking about
on
your ring.
finger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Every time there was an Iowa Western reference, Josh's hand went up in the air.
Yeah, it's like, what's up?
Yeah, even Coach Strohmeyer didn't have the ring on.
Mare didn't come near me.
Well, she was pretty close.
She was just a table away.
Just a table away.
Did you notice how they put the two candidates, right next to each other?
Yeah.
Not the same table, but
Real
separate.
contentious.
Trying to
Cordial.
mix it up, Michael was. I see what he did.
So there was a young lady that was near us that I don't think got introduced. Was Miss Nebraska there last night?
Yeah.
She
Did they
was-
not introduce her?
No.
No. She was sitting
She
right
was-
next to me the
She was
entire
wearing
time.
her
Ima-
tiara.
Imagine having to go to events like that for a year
And now
with the tiara on and nobody says, hey, there's a woman here with a tiara. Let's all give it up for like you just have to do it in silence.
every time I looked to my left to look at the big board, I saw it. She was right next to me. And I just always shook my head at the fact that she's got to wear a tiara. I mean, that's
It's part of the gig.
I know, but
She
I
wore
could,
the tiara.
I could never.
I met her last year when she came out to Warner Park and threw her first pitch.
Yeah.
And she wore a tiara while she was throwing the first pitch.
it's got to be exhausting.
There was no tiara flying off her head during the first pitch.
Oh, I think that thing is secure.
Yeah.
I've researched it and looked at it. I mean, it's attached.
Have you felt it? You're like, hey, Miss Nebraska, can I just
Wow.
make sure that the infrastructure here is solid?
They glue it to your head
Oh,
for
that'd
the
be
entire
crazy.
year.
Well, I think the way they put it on with the pins and stuff, like it's
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
Pins
Because that'd
and-
be like a mascot losing its head.
The extensions.
Yeah. Like if
I don't know all
if-
the terms.
If she loses the crown, if it falls off,
Oh Lord!
I mean, you got issues.
So whoever picks it back up and puts it on their head is then Miss Nebraska.
Imagine losing at the crown. It'd be
Ha.
embarrassing.
Gonna be us.
Did you guys hear my idea? And I think you two should get behind it. That the crown should go on a tour of the state, and they should include
Ridiculous.
the Diamond Head Classic Trophy,
The or.
the thing that Bryce Williams won, and then Juwan Gary's basketball from the crown.
So it would work.
The sparkly
Like,
basketball.
Hey, bring Casey's 3-point trophy while you're
Yeah.
at it. You know,
if you did a road show and went to various grocery stores throughout the state,
It would.
it would work.
why did you say grocery stores? He was on High V as well. He was all about taking it to High V.
Because those things
he
always are
want-
in the grocery store
He-
parking lot.
He wants to put it right next to the Colby Jack, samples.
Where I don't remember this. The Royals took the World Series tour or the trophy on tour, and they
Yeah.
came to Omaha. Did they go to?
I believe it was a
Because you
high
guys
V.
probably, when you were working at the ticket, probably did a remote with it.
They were at well, I guess this was the year. The last time I remember it was the year. No, they put the trophy at like the Devaney Center, and people
Oh.
would come in and kind of go through the door, and then there was a line
Yeah.
in there and take a picture, and See you later. And then the year before that, the year they ended up winning the World Series, everybody was over at Longwells.
Yes.
We were over at Longwells. And that was when Rex Hudler wanted to go crash Nebraska baseball practice. And we took him over there.
Ersty. One
great
final
wings.
thing here.
Ersty.
So yesterday, watching the Royals, I know Ryan has fun with HUD. Yesterday might have been the day that we just I don't know. You could tell that Ryan was more of the joking and just moving on. Like HUD was really getting under his skin.
Yeah, well, that's the constant. That's the constant ballot. I don't think HUD ever actually makes him mad. I just think that's their dynamic. He just blows right through it, you know. And then sometimes he'll say HUD will have a comment, and Ryan will just they'll just sit there in silence for 8 seconds.
That's what they did yesterday.
Which is what I imagine they're just hitting the mute button on the microphone.
Already?
Yeah,
I mean,
but they're not mad at each other. It's not like that.
It's a funny dynamic.
Yeah,
because you're right. They will go into silence.
Yeah,
and then you're like, do they have a booth cam?
Yeah, because Ryan plays a straight guy, but he's a pretty funny guy too. But obviously, you kind of have to be the straight guy when you have HUD with you. He's insane.
They saw a perfect game last night.
Perfect umpire game. Yeah.
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just the second one ever.
Yep.
Wow.
Ooh.
What an accomplishment.
First in a non-World Series game.
Is that your finger gun guy?
That's a strike.
That's his John
No,
Moran.
I know. With the you're not a.
No, I wouldn't be. No, I'd go.
I remember I never forget the Game 7, the World Series umpire. Do you remember his name? There was an echo off of him, every time. It was very distinct.
Oh,
you don't remember that, Gary?
John says that they should take the Pinstripe Bowl trophy too.
Yeah, just take
do it all.
Trophies.
Sure.
What did the Pinstripe Trophy Bowl look like?
Don't remember.
Was it a bad boy lawnmower?
Maybe it was a Yankee something.
Did Nebraska ever get a free lawnmower or anything?
Oh, that'd be a great.
I think you get the banner. You get the banner to hang in your facility.
Can you imagine for the crown as opposed to $300,000? Just everybody gets a free lawnmower. Everybody gets a free zero turn.
Wouldn't you think the winning coach gets a lawnmower?
That would be a cool.
That'd be sick.
I mean,
that'd be.
Ramir Johnson was the MVP, right?
Yeah, so he should get a lawnmower living in New York City.
He should absolutely get something.
I mean,
you got to really mow the pavement over there.
A perfect game last night umpiring.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Sale? Did you see Sale the other night when the umpire flinched? It should have been a strike, and the umpire was going to punch out the Philly. And he didn't, and so Sale lost it on the mound.
Yeah. Oh no, I missed
it's
that.
You were gonna do
so
it.
he flinched, he was gonna, and then he paused, and Sale walked off the mound.
Nice.
But you won last night. Hope you stayed up late to watch that.
I did. It was great. They broke the horn.
Spencer Schwellenbach,
that guy is
former shortstop,
dialed in.
He's exceeded what I thought he would do.
Spencer Schwellenbach was a shortstop 5 years ago.
And the closer.
At Nebraska.
And
a 3-hole hitter.
And playing in Fayetteville.
Yes. Yeah. Now that was the time.
What is Kevin Kopps doing nowadays? That was his name. Right?
Is he in Double-A? Last I checked, he was in Double-A.
Let's see.
I gave Kevin Kopps and Miller Kopp.
Double-A with the Padres, maybe?
Let's see if you're right, Gary. He is currently in AAA.
Ooh.
He is in El Paso, Chihuahua.
Yeah, San Diego.
Yeah.
He's
28 years old.
Good Lord.
Because remember, that was his 100th year of college that year.
So where is he ranked in their prospect rankings? Is he even ranked?
I don't know.
Probably not that high as a
28-year-old.
Pretty good so far this year. 8 and third innings. Giving up only 4 hits, 1 run. Strikeout to walk ratio of 9-4.
Jack Caglione, who hit 120-mile-an-hour infield.
We're going to talk about that today.
Spent a whole segment on it.
Did I see it would be, not to steal your thunder, the 12th hardest hit ball in StatCast?
Yes.
That's correct.
And it was an opposite field through the infield single.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Kevin
Yes,
Kopps.
You saw that right.
Down to the top 30 of the San Diego pipeline, unfortunately.
Fair to say that when Caglione gets to Omaha, you may have him sign something.
I just think you bring him up in whenever the winds change, and then
that place becomes a launching pad.
and then you have people just camping out in the cornfields waiting for baseballs.
Hey, that's a great promotion to sell seats out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like our version of the pond or the lake in San Francisco. What the McCovey Cove. McCovey Cove. Yeah. Have people sitting out there. Maybe they row fake boats or something like that. Like, whee! Oh, here comes the Kegs ball.
No, I think what they should do is that you just take a chair and you plant your chair there, and then you don't move. So you just have to stay in the chair. And that, like, you cannot get up, you cannot run for it. You just stay seated, and you hope that the gods pick you to catch a Jack Caglione.
He's not going to be long for Springdale, Arkansas.
No.
Whatever.
And he may not be long for Omaha if Vinny doesn't get it turned around.
Yeah, I know. That's a problem right now as well.
But he will be. I'm telling him, we were talking about him the other day. Bobby Witt Jr. everybody knew about him. And so he came here and he was here for a whole year.
One entire year. Yeah.
Wow.
But didn't have like the buildup of, oh my God, we got to see Caglione.
No. And now we have a familiarity with Cags too, from him being in Omaha in the last 2 years as well.
I've already had multiple people tell me that when he comes up that we have to go to the game.
Yeah, then you could text me your scouting reports.
Yeah, exactly. It was a troll job. I was trolling you. I wasn't
did
actually
great.
like a big league scout. But tell you something right now, Noah Cameron's got some whip on that fastball. It's a nice fastball with a wipeout changeup. If you can keep the curveball in the zone.
There it is.
Have a good weekend,
That's what you
boys.
get. Okay, see ya. That's Crossover, powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Friday. We'll start things off next.
That's the Crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone.
A beautiful Friday ahead as we get a break from the wind. A little cool early on, but mostly sunny skies throughout the day with a light north breeze, highs in the mid to upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Springfest deals are still in full swing at Lowe's. Right now, get 5 bags of Stay Green Premium Color 2 cubic foot mulch for only $10.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Happy Friday. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you as we send you off into the weekend. Gasmo opening day has already been declared.
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about it. I apologize.
I'm thinking Gasmo, car wash, car clean tomorrow.
What a quintessential spring weekend.
And I'm going to feel like a new person afterwards. That's my plan. We'll see if we have the time and the resources necessary to be able to get that job done. But
I don't know if we'll have enough time.
Yeah, we're gonna give it a go.
Pretty busy little Saturday.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Today on the show, we'll have our regular lineup of guests. Munson, BC, Sipple. That is the lineup powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. We'd love to hear from you all today on the show, 402-951-1620 on the hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor or Josh O at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers and people who are reacting still on Facebook. Thank you for the ha-ha. Platcat, we see you. We see you. We see you. Or you could ask Josh if he's from here, which of course he is, and he lives here, and what his favorite memory of Rosenblatt Stadium is, which is something that's already happened in the comments this morning.
Yeah, we got a little side chats going on.
I saw a picture of Rosenblatt. It was the cover photo, or it was like the headline photo on an athletic story a couple days ago, and they were like asking, might sports get canceled? Some sports get canceled because of revenue sharing. Will we see some sports just fall off the table in revenue sharing? It was an interesting question. And then on the obviously they're not going. I don't believe they're going to cancel baseball. I don't know. I guess you never know. But I saw Rosenblatt Stadium and I thought, oh man, Rosenblatt Stadium.
There it is.
And then
remember.
And then Josh. Well, you said Warren Morris, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were you at the Warren Morris game?
I wasn't.
Oh, okay. That's an obvious one.
I do remember watching it on TV and then going outside and playing baseball and pretending I was Warren Morris for roughly the next 6 weeks.
Somebody else brought up that one Nighthawks game, the first one, which was great. And then
where Nelly performed at halftime.
That was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That was incredible.
What a night!
And then somebody else brought up the when Creighton went to the College World Series and lost. Probably a Creighton hater would be my guess. Classic.
Imagine having no College World Series wins.
Well, Nebraska has won. They won that one game.
It's more than Creighton
in 2005, and then Jeff Larish appeared. Whew. What a game that was! What a game that was! Shout out to Andy Gertz and them boys. Elsewhere on the show today, we'll be keeping tabs on the Masters, and we'll be asking, "What do you want?" And we'll play a game of Grade That Hat, of course. We have many different styles of hats.
That's a legitimately good game.
Grade That Hat?
Grade That Hat.
All right. Grade That Hat is a new bit on this show.
Okay.
Excellent.
We're claiming it. It's ours.
Yeah. There's never been anything done in radio that's been that original. So Grade That Hat is ours. Probably just as good as Grunt That Slate. And I have an opinion and things of that nature. Elsewhere, I don't think there's very many people on planet Earth who have hit a baseball 120 miles an hour, but the Royals have one in their farm system right now. So we'll spend probably roughly 3.5 hours on that today.
The farm system, not the team, not the team.
Not even on the team yet.
The farm
They've decided that he's not even good enough to be on the team. So just imagine how good that team is, first of all, and then imagine how good their farm system is.
These are what people are saying.
Think about it that way. RB2.
Oh, let's go.
I've tried to find peace. I've tried to find zen and peace on the running back situation at Nebraska. Will I find it? I don't know, but I want to talk through it with you all during the show today. We didn't get time to talk about what Fred Hoiberg and company have done in the portal yesterday, which is something we were going to get to if the news of Al Huss coming back hadn't dropped, so we can get into that today. And we have some more on Mac and Huss and some lingering questions today on the show. College baseball over the weekend. Nebraska heads to Iowa for a big series, and Creighton heads to Seton Hall where they might play one game.
If they're lucky.
If they already moved today's game up, and today looks like the best weather day. It's going to be.
Why aren't they playing yet?
It's going to be tricky.
Right now, they need to be playing.
And what we have going on in college football right now is the first high-profile documented college football holdout. Welcome.
This is going to get people talking.
Welcome to 2025. We have a college football holdout, Josh, and he's the quarterback at Tennessee.
Wonder if anyone's going to have a take about this.
They'll have to learn how to pronounce his name, maybe. Nico Iamaleava, I believe. Iamaleava.
I don't know.
We're getting close, but figure it out because he is holding out. He says, I want more money or I'm going to hit the transfer portal. He wants to restructure his deal.
What happened to love of the game, Connor?
Josh, the transfer portal in football opens up next Wednesday.
Oh, next Wednesday.
So we have a little bit of that going on in sports right now. That is something that we'll talk about a little bit when we come back. But we're glad you're with us here on a Friday. Want to give a shout out right off the top here to Michael Severe and his hardworking staff and everybody who puts the Jet Award banquet together every year. Michael does an excellent job and a very well run event last night that we were lucky enough to just be spectators for.
So I had imposter syndrome the whole night. I did not belong there, but thank you for the invite.
Oh, Josh, you did. You had a ring. You had a suit. You had a ring and a suit. Many people had rings and many people had suits at this event last night.
Okay.
I thought you fit right in.
Okay.
I thought you were one of the people.
Thank you. That's a lot.
One of the dignitaries of Omaha that were there last night. But a lot of moving parts for Michael, who I believe will be hosting the afternoon show today.
That's right. I have no idea why he agreed to do that.
It's an odd move, really. It's an odd move, but that guy can't stop. I was going to text him last night. I was say, all right, that's over. Time to really, dive into some NFL draft stuff. What do you think? So we'll see how quickly he moves on to that. All right. Glad you're with us, everybody, here on this Friday. Let's make it a good one. How about it?
Deal.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone. Story from yesterday from Pete Nakos of On3, who dropped in. He reports on a little bit. He's kind of the On3 like newsbreaker guy, but On3 seems to be tied in with like they're really tied in with the NIL dealings and things of that nature. So dropped in yesterday and said this: in a move that many around the program expected, On3 has learned that Nico Iamaleava in Tennessee are in active negotiations on a new NIL deal ahead of the 2025 season. It remains unclear if those negotiations will impact Iamaleava's decision regarding a spring transfer portal, which opens, of course, next week on Wednesday. Sources have indicated that Nico is happy at Tennessee and has a strong relationship with Josh Heupel. But the Vols are trying to finalize a new contract before Saturday's orange-white spring game. Multiple sources close to the situation indicate that Iamaleava's contract is somewhere between $2.2 and $2.5 million, which is a jump from the initial 3-year deal that was reported back in March of 2022. At one point, Iamaleava was the highest-paid quarterback in the nation. It has now been reported, this is all reported because it can't be like official, that quarterbacks in the transfer portal like Carson Beck and Darian Mensah have both signed contracts this offseason worth more than $3 million annually. And Michigan had that one guy come in and pay Bryce Underwood $3 million this year to end up committing to Michigan and going that way.
What's Kirk's kid making?
Kirk's kid.
Kirk Herbstreit?
Oh, I don't think that much. That'd be my guess. So, like you see in the NFL sometimes, the players want to stay at the forefront. Now, here's what's a little bit different. In college football, you hit free agency every year. In fact, you hit free agency twice a year.
What a system.
Which is frankly amazing. Once after the season ends and once after really spring ball ends for most teams around the country, or I guess in Nebraska's case and a few and several others, while spring ball is still going on. And yes, Nebraska will have some players at the transfer portal when it opens next Wednesday. So that's a little bit different. And so it appears as if Nico Iamaleava, the quarterback of Tennessee for the last couple seasons, wants to be not only the best quarterback in the nation, but he wants to be paid like it. So there's a new development. As of this morning, we have a Pete tweet. Tennessee spring practice is going on right now. And according to Mr. Tweets, Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava did not attend Tennessee spring practice today. He's been in conversations with Tennessee about a new contract. The no-show at practice came as a surprise. So that's right. If you could put all that together, we are looking at history. College football's first holdout. We did it. That's right. Congratulations to all involved.
Hang the banner, mission accomplished.
Now, we often talk about, how teams want to be at the forefront. I think this is a great trend. I love where college football is heading. I love NIL. And I love the fact that players can become free agents twice a year and tell their teams that they already have played for and that they reportedly love and adore. And they have great relationships with their head coach. But they could say, hey, I know we have a great relationship, but why don't you show me that we have a great relationship? If you think I'm the best quarterback in the country, you'll have to pay me like one. Otherwise, I will head to the transfer portal and find someone who will. So, what a moment for college football. Among many moments over the last decade, this is just the latest in historic efforts for the sport of college football. Congratulations to Tennessee, Nico, Carson Beck, Darian Mensah, Josh Heupel, really everybody involved here. Great job by all.
We're going to have to text AB because he was boots on the ground today at
practice.
That's right.
Was Nico at practice?
He was not.
That's what we should text him.
Hey,
We should get firsthand confirmation on this. I guess we could.
what did Nico look like at practice today?
I'm gonna
ghost.
I'm gonna trust Pete Tweet's tweet on this.
Mhm.
Matthew writes in on YouTube.
Hi, Matthew.
Nico, I'm not gonna work here.
I'm not gonna work.
Oh man, don't we love it?
We do. What do you think they're saying on the boards there in Knoxville? I have the answer.
Oh really?
Yes.
Let's head live to the boards.
Volquest is where this comes from. That's
Yeah.
their board. Oh no, who will throw sideways passes and rarely be a threat to run now?
I figured that's the direction it would go.
This one says Merck greater than Nico. Give him a chance. Must be their backup.
So fans are just like, okay, walk.
Mm-hmm. Pretty sure we can get Merklinger to hand off to a running back 35 times a game, throw 10-yard curls, and overthrow open wide receivers. I know
Nice.
this board thinks he's the second coming, but he's not. And finally, overrated, bland personality, can't read a defense, has held us hostage every single chance he's gotten. At least Milton wanted to be here.
There is something to be said, and I do think that's an important part of this. Of in the day of free agency, like I said, twice a year in college football, people just get worn down by this stuff. It happens in contract holdouts as well in the NFL. You're like, yeah, I mean, I really want him back, and I hope our team, will buck up the money to pay the guy, and I hope he stays. But if it happens year after year after year after year and twice a year, where it's like, well, you got to pay me, you got to pay me, you got to pay me. I think that wears down a fan base. I would imagine it wears down teammates. I would imagine it. Now on the other hand, this is just a guy who has representation, and the representation is doing his job here. But I oftentimes feel like that's a forgotten piece of what happens here. Your relationship with the school that you're at and your relationship with the fan base. Or maybe they're just thinking, relationship, Josh, pay me my money. I love a good bluff game though. This is great.
Someone's got to blink.
Go ahead. Let them walk. Like if you're Tennessee, you probably go back to him and you say, all right, so you want to be the highest paid quarterback in college football, or you want to make $3 million compared to the 2.5 that you have right now. You want to make $4 million compared to the 2.5 right now. You're thinking like, we've treated you really well, man. Like what more are we supposed to like? We want to help you, but you have to understand that you're stressing out a lot of people around here. We want you to be our quarterback. That's the best situation for everybody, but you're stressing everybody out. It doesn't like, regardless of who's in charge and who is driving the bus on these things, there's something to be said for the toll that it takes on everybody around you. And yeah, I oftentimes feel like that's forgotten about. So
you want to go play pro. Like, imagine going through the combine interviews after this. Like, they're gonna rake you over the coals of,
what's your response?
Hey, you gonna hold out on us too?
We're not going to.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like the 5th quarterback off the board or something like that. Like we're not gonna give you that money right away. You have to kind of earn it a little bit. And the NFL team's just going to be like, okay, we'll go find another guy who could throw sideways passes and hand it out. And they'll all of a sudden start sound like VolQuest.
Mm-hmm. You won't have the leverage here.
Oh. Aaron writes in on the text line.
Hi, Aaron.
It wore down the Packers twice. Is Nico Aaron Rodgers? I imagine he'll do the same with college football players for a player not there as long. Yeah, I think that's a piece of this here. So, I don't know. We could play a quick game of who you rooting for, Josh.
Oh,
you rooting for Nico to get what he wants? Or are you rooting for Tennessee to stand their ground? This is a real-life college football holdout.
This really is. I think I'm rooting for Nico here.
What? How could you root for Nico? He throws sideways passes.
I mean, Tennessee was pretty decent last year.
Do you think he's the best quarterback in the country?
No.
Okay. He wants to get paid like it. And I do think it sets a precedent of every other quarterback in the country could be like, oh,
we can do that?
I could just publicly call you guys out for not paying me as much money as I want to, and then probably get what I want, and then go back to practice the next day and pretend like everything's fine. I think I should probably, there's a power play that is on. There's a power play. Let's apply this to real life. There's a power play that is on the table right now for Dylan Raiola. He's already the highest paid guy on the team, but he could go to 1890 or whatever and ask, well, how important am I really? How much do you really want me? I think there was probably a little bit of that, by the way, in the first transfer portal window. Just a little bit, It is grinding. It grinds your fan base and your coaching staff and all that stuff down to the studs.
And then is there a domino effect if Nico should leave Tennessee? Does Tennessee say, well, we were going to pay somebody $3 million. Hey, insert name of quarterback here. I know you weren't thinking about leaving, but
yeah. And who picks up Nico?
Why don't you come on down? Yeah.
I feel like this is a bluff. But
probably.
Yeah. I don't think he wants to enter the transfer portal. Like you said, he likes the place, but this is out there now. So congratulations once again to all involved in the first college football holdout. Jeff writes in.
Hi, Jeff.
I miss the old days. This sucks. Yep. This sucks.
Part of it's just a business between administrators and whether that be ownership or school administrators and players is the fan base doesn't care about you anymore either, because they know you can leave at the drop of a hat.
And they're also the ones that are responsible generally for ponying up the money.
Mm-hmm. There's only so much beef jerky I can buy.
Exactly. Or rounding up on beers at the CHI or whatever it might be. So yeah, it's not a great look. We'll be back. We have Bryan Munson coming up on the other side. Maybe there's an angle of this conversation we can get into with him, talk some recruiting and more when we return on the 11 o'clock hour of the Counter Happer Show on a Friday on 1620 The Zone.
Bryan Munson.
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang. Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y Wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, a sure sign of Friday at 11 o'clock as we're joined now by Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Munson, hello. How are you?
Sure fire way and leading right into your weekend. I mean, I love it. This is the best time ever for me.
Hey, you heard Dylan Raiola. Well, I guess you heard Isaiah Hunter talk about Dylan Raiola and whether it be in the recruiting process. And he said yesterday, like, if I had one guy at my wedding, he'd be the only one to show up or something like that. And we dove into that one yesterday, but it underscores his importance. Dylan Raiola knows everybody, and he is seemingly like the lead recruiter on a lot of the players that are currently on the roster, whether they joined from the transfer portal or whether they joined in as freshmen. Is anything differently happening on the current recruiting class and people hearing from Dylan Raiola?
Maybe. Well, I mean, DeVayon Bonwell-Whitty, the 2026 wide receiver commitment, was in Lincoln yesterday, but so was Dayton Raiola. And, he had, wanted to talk to Dayton a little bit. And there were some guys that did have some questions about Dylan, that have kind of been through, but nobody has kind of mentioned, nobody's a strong word. He probably has had a touch here or there, particularly like when they got on campus. But I think Dayton's kind of leading more of the charge, like, on the phone, over social media, kind of doing stuff like that. I think you're right. I think the portal guys, that falls 100% back into like Dylan's bucket. But Dayton's bucket right now, Dayton's been working some guys. I mean, like he's gotten guys to visit Nebraska. He's got, some guys coming in this weekend, I think, that are interesting, so I think it's a little bit of a split effort, but I think that I think the biggest selling point for Nebraska in terms of recruiting, particularly in the offensive side of the football, is Dylan Raiola. Like when they go to practice, like when since those guys have started showing up for as visitors this spring season, even the quarterbacks, have had to say it's Dylan's team. Like that is Dylan's team. Like he is the man. And they're obviously comparing, like, can I get to that level, at Nebraska? Can I be the next Dylan Raiola? And that's what those guys are kind of asking themselves when they leave Nebraska. So it's a high standard. And I think he's very impactful. Even if you don't have to have him come and talk to you, he's very impactful.
What is the significance, speaking of quarterbacks, we've talked about Trey Taylor over the last several weeks now. Mm-hmm. What is the significance of him moving up his timeline to his commitment date now being May 1st?
Well, I mean, it's significant because he's also trimmed his list down to a top 4. Nebraska's in that top 4. And I think that tells, I think, Nebraska fans all that they need to know. Nebraska has done their best. They have made this initial cut. I think that basically the moving his timeline left into May versus June just indicates that he has clarity on his process, on where he thinks, it's down to, and he maybe had a couple of fine details that he's still kind of mulling over. I think it's going to be important for Nebraska over the next week or so to, potentially have to sell to him, the role obviously that they see for him on the team, the class that they want to build around him, not just with his particular group 2027, but maybe what they got cooking in the pot for 2026. I think that those are very important moving pieces for Taylor. And that's something I think that is going to be a consideration for him as he kind of moves down the stretch right here to kind of close things out on May 1. So I kind of gave Nebraska, about a 35 to 45. I'd say it's like Nebraska and LSU, and they're kind of going back and forth, and you kind of have the other two schools, there that are kind of hanging out. But I do feel good about Nebraska. I want people to know that. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
I am trying to downplay it a little bit here, not to kind of be conservative. So like if I missed, then I said, I told you so. It's not that way at all. I understand the stakes and obviously that's the biggest part, but I feel good for Nebraska when it comes to Taylor. If they miss, it won't be missing by much. Let me just tell you that, because I think Nebraska's made a compelling argument story for it.
You wrote about this this week in 3 and Out, and it's been something that I think we've been keeping a little bit of a closer eye on around here. And I think we've kind of danced around it over the last couple weeks, but the roster crunch and the clarity that has provided in recruiting and things like that. And now how it applies to local guys. Iowa State has now a 5th commitment out of the state of Nebraska, which is, I think, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, this would have caused like crazy fires around here or something like that. And now it kind of slides under the radar a little bit. What do you think about all this and Nebraska, sort of, I guess, not really sinking their hooks into these guys, and this local regional schools kind of picking up where Nebraska leaves off on some of these?
Yeah, I mean, the Iowa States of the world, they're incredibly happy that I think Nebraska is looking past some of these guys in the state. And I'll tell you, I mean, I saw a lot of those guys face to face, and I watched their film. They're a talented group of players, but Nebraska is, they're staring down the 105, and they've got between 30 or I've heard different numbers. I've heard 131. I've heard that they got to cut 45 guys or something along those lines. So I don't really know like where that number is kind of at necessarily, like when it comes to like their roster management. And I think Matt Rule doesn't understand either, like when do they have to be down to that number and what are the really like the other things that kind of go along with it. So I don't think there's a clear path, but they just know that there's something that's going to be devastating to their roster that they're going to have to do something about. They just don't understand the timeline. But I think that they don't want to lend themselves and their current actions, towards having to make more aggressive cuts. And I think that there's a fairness to that. I think the fairness is that you're not going to go to a place that you would have considered to be your dream school and have that dream school say, hey, thanks for signing on the dotted line last year, but we don't have a spot for you anymore,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's even a more difficult conversation for Nebraska to have, down the line. And I don't think anybody here is going to make fun of Big 12 over, and the Big 10 and what kind of dominance they could have over the It's not even about that. There's an opportunity here. And whether these guys end up staying at Iowa State for all 4 or 5 years, is really kind of like the, the ultimate kind of thing. It's like, what else happens like after they get to Ames? But I mean, I think it's a tough situation for Nebraska. I really do. I don't think there's much that they feel like they can do about it. And for that reason, they're going to see some really talented players leave the state. And a lot of them are going to up in Ames. You mentioned 5 commitments. There are 9 offers.
Yeah.
Nebraska just offered Darian Jones a week ago. And so that is one guy along with Isaac Jensen that there is a cross matrix here between the two. But now Isaac Jensen is not taking an official visit to Nebraska. So I think, Nebraska could end up still with like 2 in-state guys, but man, there's going to be more that are going to add their name to that commitment list in Ames, I feel. So that's something to be something very interesting to watch.
So is there an adjustment to be made, or would there be an adjustment from Nebraska if, well, we heard this week, one of the things that the judge told the lawyers in court on this NCAA ruling is, hey, maybe there needs to be not as much of a hard cut on the roster limits and more flexibility. So a grandfathering rule or something like that. Now we're talking about a future class here. We're talking about the class of 2026. So keep that in mind. But that would lead to more flexibility with this roster. Would it lead to more flexibility in the recruiting game as to how you look at things going forward as well?
I totally agree. I mean, I really felt like it was such a devastating impact to have to just go from running at 150 to 105. When you're gonna go ahead and say, and think about all the things that kind of go along with it, right? You've set up your facilities to house 150 athletes, number one, and that's something that Nebraska hadn't had. I mean, they were splitting between locker rooms. They'd have a freshman locker room, and there was a varsity locker room, you know, and it was really a different kind of scenario. But I think the other side of that is that you're essentially, with this cut, is the complete removal of the walk-on idea and the programs. And so that essentially would just cease to exist. And I think that's like one of the hardest things for me to kind of understand the benefit of. You know, these guys that were willing to kind of go there and pay their own way to have the opportunity to just maybe only have their name called out on senior day. Holy cow. How compelling of a story is that? I mean, that to me is just like one of those things that gets me totally fired up to think about it. So I don't understand the necessity to cut from whatever number these programs are at straight to the 105 and play the next season. I would understand, or would embrace more the gradual, you know, and I think the other side of this is I don't think the G4s, the FCSs, and the D2s of the world are really prepared to absorb the number of cuts that are coming. I don't think people understand that either. Like that part to me, and the trickle down effect that's going to be there. I mean, the difficulties that were already there to go ahead and play college football in the first place, it just got a whole heck of a lot tougher.
Right.
And the competition, I mean, between the portal stuff and now you got this basically flooding into the portal because of the mandatory cuts these programs would have to make. And it would make it insanely difficult, I think, you know, for remaining 2026, 2027s, maybe some fringe guys 2026, and guys that are looking to try to get in someplace in 2027. I think it's going to be really, really tough for some of those guys to get there now.
What are we watching as far as visit? It hasn't slowed Nebraska down in bringing in guys that they're recruiting for the 26 or 27 class and beyond throughout spring ball here this week, and then this weekend as they gear up closer and closer to the end of spring ball here.
Yeah, we got about 4 guys coming in this weekend. The last one kind of made his intentions known last night or the night before. Luke Sorensen, tight end from Anaheim, California, Servite High School. So a lot of people are going to have heard of that. Sorensen was supposed to actually come in for the Elite Junior Day on February 1st, but didn't make it. He has an official visit set up to come back to Nebraska. I think it's the last weekend, June 20th. Yep, June 20th weekend, he'll be back. So he'll be there this weekend. Jace Reynolds is making his first trip down to Lincoln this spring. Cameron Wilson, interesting edge from Southridge High School in Miami, Florida. He recently committed to Syracuse, but he confirmed to me last week that he is still coming this weekend. So interesting guy to kind of keep an eye on. But I think really kind of the weekend jewel is Nolan Scott, the wide receiver from Powder Springs, Georgia. 6'3", 185 pounds, 4-star, you know, has got offers from Georgia and Auburn and all the SEC schools, obviously, in Michigan, and obviously UCF is on the list too as well. But I mean, this is really a big one. This is a guy here that is talking directly to Dayton. So I don't think that it's by coincidence that Dayton was up there, you know, yesterday, and probably will be up there at least through when Scott probably arrives, you know, probably Friday night. Like the way that we kind of talked about it last week, right? Those guys are getting in Friday. They're kind of doing something Friday night, whether it's just dinner with a coach or whatever, and then kind of Saturday full of activities, and maybe Sunday morning they kind of do something else again, then they get on a flight and they get out. So I kind of assume it'd be something similar, and if Dayton is still around, I would imagine Dayton, and if not Dylan, are there to kind of welcome Scott to Lincoln, because he's a pretty big time recruit.
Yep. A lot of stuff going on right now. And as spring ball wraps up, there will be plenty more over the next week or so here. Munson, we will let you go. Always appreciate it. Good update as always. And we'll talk to you next week.
Have a great weekend, buddy.
That is Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com, covering all the recruiting angles, baby.
I'm glad someone can keep it all straight.
Yeah, there's too many dudes. Too many dudes.
Too many dudes, too many rules. It's all changing.
All the rules. It's ridiculous. But like I said, that whole Iowa State having 5 commitments from the state of Nebraska thing, that's just been a swept under the rug deal. This not like purposefully, it just hasn't garnered much attention. Isn't that something that people would have freaked out about?
Oh yeah.
What happened?
We'd be calling for heads on sticks.
People just kind of understand and for the record, like I think it's a good thing that people aren't freaking out about it. Like I think that's probably a good thing because, like Munson said, you really can't get everybody. You just can't, and some of them won't end up at Nebraska for the traditional reasons you wouldn't end up at a school. Just, hey, I didn't think the fit was right for me, or I liked another place better, or whatever the deal is. But I think there's a lot of them who just Nebraska feels they're a little bit lower on the board, and they're going after the top guys on their board first, and the lower guys in a lot of cases are from the state of Nebraska. Then they end up at Iowa State. And then there's also the portal part of it as well, which happens, maybe a year or 2 or 3 down the line. Over at the Masters, Josh.
Yeah.
Justin Rose is a shot under today. He's in the lead at 8 under. How about Bryson DeChambeau?
Oh yeah, what's he doing?
He's taking big hacks.
That's what he does.
And he's already 3. By the way, Rose just dropped another shot. He didn't drop another shot. He gained another shot. So he's 9 under now.
Wow.
That puts him 3 clear of Bryson DeChambeau.
Oh, he's in second.
Yes, Bryson DeChambeau, 6 under, 3 under for today already. And he's still on the front 9.
Driving that thing.
Hasn't posted a score on 8 yet. We got some Sanjay M going on right now. He's 3 under for the day. And look at this run by, tell me if you ever heard of this person, Matt McCarty.
I have not.
Matt McCarty is an American who is making his Masters debut in his second major. He started the day at 1 over. He's now on 14, or he's on 15, where he is 4 under for the tournament. So he is 5 under for the day. And then all the leaders from yesterday will be teeing off shortly, like Scotty Scheffler.
Scotty
Scheffler.
Wow.
I was watching Ludwig Oberg as well. I get along with some Ludwig Oberg.
As you do, yeah.
Yeah,
sure,
I like some Oberg. Saw him miss a putt on, what was it, 4 or 5, something like that. And so he is 1 over for the day, 3 under for the tournament. It's very interesting how Mr. McIlroy, Rory, people always love Rory to win these tournaments.
They always bet on him, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I think Rory is my guy this year. And then he always kind of just flames out. Maybe he makes it to the weekend, gets through the weekend, or he's in contention on Sunday, and then finds himself in a top 5 or a top 10 situation. Currently 1 under for the day after finishing yesterday even par, but he was like 3 under for most of the round. He is on 8 right now, where he is 1 under for the tournament, which puts him in about the top 25-ish. But people want the Rory thing to happen really badly, and he just can't. He can't pull through.
Can't ever do it.
He can't pull through for
and
people.
He doesn't have to talk to the media afterwards, so it's fine.
No. John emails in.
Hi, John.
On the Equitable Bank inbox. Subject line, Iowa State. People aren't worried about the Iowa State commits because they have been rule-pilled and believe everything that comes out of his big fat mouth. John has his bits. I love John's bits where he says his things, The rule big fat mouth thing has been really a good deal for him lately.
There is a small segment of the fan base that maybe never liked the hire that are they're starting to puff that chest out a little bit.
Yeah, so Dana Holgerson talked yesterday.
Holgo the Oko? And
he just says stuff. He does. He's like, if you asked Dana Holgerson today, like, hey, who's your second best wide receiver? He'd tell you. He'd probably tell you the answer. That's basically how the running back 2 thing happened yesterday. He's like, who's your second best? Well, I think it's probably Kwinten Ives in front of everybody else right now by a long shot. You got him and Emmett Johnson, and then there's some question behind him at this point. But once again, don't put it on the internet that I'm worried about the running back thing.
I would never.
So that's a question that we could ask Brian Christopherson.
Would love to.
Our next guest, talking running backs. Maybe we'll throw in a little bit of basketball in there as well.
Hoops.
BC's on the hoops beat. Plenty still to come, but Brian Christopherson is up next on the Connor Happer Show, right here on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Brian. Brian Christopherson.
I gotta take this. It's Hap.
B-Rye, B-Rooney, drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Got a tweet here from Travis Branham, who is a national college basketball analyst for 24/7 Sports. There are at least 8 teams that will have a $10 million plus roster in college basketball next season, according to his sources. $10 million for the college basketball roster. Woo! Woo! That's big time. I don't think Nebraska's one of them, but I like what they've done in the portal so far, as we're joined now on the hotline by Brian Christopherson. BC, hello, happy Friday. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. The only thing is, I don't think it will come over the phone, but it's like everybody in my neighborhood started cutting down their trees like 5 minutes ago at the same time. It seems like
that'd be funny if you during one of your answers we just heard chainsaws in the background. I would actually enjoy that.
It was bizarre. It's like 11:22, and it's like 7 dudes ripped out their chainsaws at the exact same time, and so there's a lot going on around here.
You know, it always happens. It always happens to be that way where, like, you know, I get the rare day in the afternoon where I can come home and maybe just lay down or close my eyes for a few minutes. And what do you know? The dog, not my dog, any dog on the block starts barking, and I can't close my eyes. So that's the way it usually goes. BC, let's start with basketball a little bit. It's obviously they won the crown, but they've been busy in the portal and doing a lot there. So they're still in an assistant coach search going on with Nebraska basketball right now. I guess generally, how do you feel like the offseason has come together for them outside of obviously winning the crown last weekend?
I'm fairly upbeat about it. You know, I think they in the position they're in, I think going after a guy like Oogie, for example, I'm just going to call him Oogie.
Yeah.
And
everybody's going with Oogie. It's cool.
Everybody understands what I'm talking about. Okay. 6'10" out of Central Michigan. I think he's most interesting to me. Just a guy like that who was, you know, first team all conference, 17 points, 7 rebounds last year. Really out of the blue to me. And I just like his production last season, and I think he can help fill a role. So that was nice. And, you know, Sanford, you know, I think Hoiberg believes, you know, he's one of the better shooters in the country and can really flourish in this offense. And one of the big selling points to guys, it's clear, is when they're recruiting these portal guys, that they show them the tape with Rink Mast and how that can space the floor and the opportunities that it can bring to them. And I think a guy like Price Sanford really saw what the benefits of that could be. And I think Price, I did get to talk to him a little bit. I think he's determined too, and Hoiberg believes in him, that he's a better athlete than some give him, moving without the ball and can do some things like that and handle it and all that. So, you know, I think it's been a plus the last week or so, and people are encouraged, and now we kind of sit tight and see what the other 1 or 2 additions are, and we'll talk it up, I'm sure, for a few months and convince ourselves it's the right guys, and then we'll see if it is.
And I mean, at least there's sort of a known commodity there in Jamarcus Lawrence coming back. I think that's a pretty big deal. We tend to just kind of gloss over the names that we know and the names that are returning. But I don't know. I like to have that guy locked into kind of the point guard spot next year. I thought that was a pretty good pickup. I don't know why he left in the first place. Maybe that's a question that will be asked, but you know, Jamarcus Lawrence come back is a big deal for them, I think.
What I like about Jamarcus is, you know, he didn't do it every night for Nebraska, but a couple of years ago, you know, he would have games where he could be that guy in a big moment. He could hit a big shot. The game at Indiana really comes to mind, and that was sort of a pivotal time for that particular team in clinching a spot on the brackets, and he went off 5 of 5 behind the arc. So, you know, we talk about guys coming in. Can they do it in this program against Big Ten competition? Lawrence already has that cred, you know, and so he'll want to do it more consistently, I'm sure. But yeah, I think that's big, and he's a guy who's going to just be right up to speed for the most part on what you're doing, and kind of Price Sanford in a weird way, because he just, I think, knows Hoiberg so well. So you bring in a couple guys like that who at least have that familiarity, which could be useful.
On to football with Brian Christopherson of Husker 247. EJ Barthel talked yesterday. Dana Holgerson talked yesterday, and he mentioned that, you know, right now Kwinten Ives has a pretty firm grasp on that number 2 spot, which isn't a surprise, but probably a good thing to hear, that he seems to have risen more, you know, toward the top than, you know, falling back into the pack with everybody else. Like the room in totality, BC, what's your vibe on that right now? You know, not only you probably don't need 4 running backs at your disposal to be able to have a successful room or anything like that. Do you get the sense that they like what they have and they're comfortable with what they have at that spot right now and then potentially going into the season?
I think they're optimistic, but you heard Dana say, you do need that third and fourth guy, and they just need the reps, and maybe that's Mekhi Nelson or Kenneth Williams, Connor Booth. It sounds like has done well too, but it does sound like Ives. I think in December he saw the opportunity. Dowdell left. It's like, okay, I've had like 3 or 4 bodies in front of me my entire time here. The reps are going up. Well, let's go. And it seems like he is, at least in the coach's eyes, making the most of that opportunity. And I did think EJ Barthel made a good point yesterday that like a year ago at this time, Dowdell was in the same boat as some of these other guys. And it is worth revisiting. I went back and looked at the quotes. Like most of the spring, we were not talking about like Dante Dowdell is going to be like 1-2 or anything like that. We were kind of like, is he gonna be that guy? Like he just maybe 4th or 5th in some of our minds.
It wasn't until like the week before the season that he really popped, I think.
Exactly. I mean, the first time it started to build a little was the spring game where he had a long touchdown run on a really well blocked play. So it wasn't like it was just an amazing run by him, but it sort of got like the stories going like, okay, maybe he's going to build off this momentum. But prior to that, he had not been the big spring storyline. And so I just think it's interesting sometimes, and I'm not saying that they've got the guys to do it or not, but I think they are hopeful they do. And Barthel, I think, pointed out rightly that, the guy that everybody's talking about, basically, how do you replace him? A year ago, he was developing in the same shoes these guys are in. So I think that's why you've seen them hold steady and not go into the portal. Every time Rule gets asked about the running backs, he's big on Ives. He has been like 6 or 7 times. So he sees something in him. We'll see if that's the case. I like his size. He's like 215 right now, and might even have a little more versatility catching the ball out of the backfield than Dowdell. And we'll see if he can be that short yardage guy who's as effective or more so. But I think he's promising, and then you hope, I think, like a guy like Mekhi Nelson just continues to have a good offseason and it sort of emerges as that 3 maybe.
With that being said, the transfer portal opens next week, as was brought up by I think it was Evan Bland yesterday, and Dana Holgerson said, "Oh, really?" Which I thought was a great moment of the press conference. What are the chances, as you see it right now, that Nebraska is really specific and they want to pursue something? Would it be that position in the transfer portal?
I don't know if it's first in mind to me, and maybe I'm wrong on this. I kind of feel they like what they have at running back. You never know if it's the exact right fit. They could do something there. I always think no matter what you think about how you are in the trenches, I always think if there's like a defensive lineman that you feel like fits you and could come in right away, that's of use. Obviously they're pretty loaded up in the secondary. So I think of like the first 2 levels on the defense more, if there was someone in particular that really popped out, that like, we could get this guy, we have the connection and the ability to do it. I would never say never on that. And, running back is always that position that gets floated in the air around here.
Yep.
But it does always seem like it's more us on the outside talking it like into existence and trying to. And sometimes on the inside, there feels like there's pushback. Like, no, we have our guys, but we'll see. I got the impression yesterday they like how it's building with what they got, and they're just going to keep trying to develop. But you never know.
In the off season, we as you're going through the transfer portal board and the guys that Nebraska ends up getting, like we then you do the numbers at the end. They're like, well, you need to hit on whatever percentage of these guys. As the spring has gone on, it feels like Nebraska got what it was looking for in Rocco Spindler. It feels like they got what they were looking for in Elijah Pritchett. That's a couple starters there and a leader in Spindler. Hearing from another one in Isaiah Hunter yesterday, and then hearing coaches talk about him, that it it maybe calms any of the nerves or some of the nerves that people had about that wide receiver spot, especially when Hardly Gilmore is off the team, that Isaiah Hunter seemingly has come in and made the most of the opportunity. And then you already have Key, who's another transfer at that spot. Like, does it feel like they've gotten what they've needed from the guys that they needed to in the transfer portal so far?
I think it's trending that way. Listening to Isaiah Hunter yesterday, by the way, people should check out that interview. He was really good at the podium, and so he's going to be a fun guy to hear from. It sounded like with Hunter, like when he first got here, he had to adjust to the mat drills and like how intense that was, and maybe he didn't impress Dana as much as some other guys. But now that it's between the lines, it's like, yeah, that's why we brought him here. He can. He's got the big body. I like the fact that Dana said, he actually plays like 205, 210. Some guys are that weight, but they don't really wear it on the field. And so that's one of the things that stands out to him about him. Dane Key, I think for good reason, most people say he's the top of the portal list of guys they got like at that receiver spot. I could go with that, but I would actually, and I've made this argument, Hunter could end up being the big get because you get multiple years with them, hopefully. So you hope that takes off. But I think your question is right for the most part this spring. Guys that fit in really well. Obviously, there was the Hardly Gilmore situation, and he's out of here. But I think watching Trent fitting in on the defensive side too, and McCullough and Williams Winari, actually kind of a nice thing for him. He's a former 5-star, and I don't feel like we talk about him as much as we have hyped up other guys in the past this offseason. So that could be kind of good for him. I think he's just going about his business. And when I saw him at practice the other day next to Keona Davis, I mean, those two looked apart, and they're honestly two of the guys who jump out you the most when you look out on that field. The other one I would say is not a new guy, but Vincent Shavers. Your eye is just drawn to Vincent Shavers, and I'm just eager to see like where that goes.
It's a really good point about Winari, who I think in years past, Nebraska probably would have been depending on him, or maybe the conversation would be about depending on him a lot. I don't necessarily get that sense. They'll need him, and obviously they want him to be a productive player next year, but I don't sense this like immense pressure of like he has to be good and he's what makes the defense go right now. And for a guy with his background and his profile, I don't know, there's probably something to be said about the rest of the defense in regards to that conversation.
I think one of the best things for him coming into this place where we talk about football as much as we do is that he did just sort of was behind the scenes at Missouri that first year. And so I don't think that lowers the expectations of what he can do, but because of that, we're not just losing our wits about talking about him or anything like that. We're like, okay, we'll see if he can develop and all that. And I think there's hope with the fact that, he's very familiar with like Jamar Mosey and guys like that. I just think he's got a good base around him that he can build off of. So they do need him to be a guy this year, but your point is well taken. He doesn't necessarily have to be the guy right away, and so that's good. And I think there's some other pass rushing weapons that definitely need to come along. McCullough's needs to be impressive in his 1 year, and Willis McGahee, I think, is a guy who's having a really good spring, who is going to be very important to this defense if it wants to be top tier.
Okay, BC, we'll let you go. We always appreciate you stopping by on a Friday, and didn't hear any chainsaws that entire time, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm going to go get mine right now and see what I can get done.
All right, see you later.
See ya.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 247. Get them chainsaws out. I guess, so we got what? Lawn mow, car wash, and chainsaws?
Sounds like it, yeah. A lot of hoses.
You got a chainsaw, Josh?
I do not. I usually use my dad's when
the time comes. I've really never had to use. I mean, I don't have trees.
I've used it enough to where
I've never.
Maybe I should be an adult and get my own.
I've never really taken. It's kind of a bucket list thing for me. Like I want to take a chainsaw to a tree. I want, but not like cut down branches and stuff like I want to chop down a tree. with a
Okay.
chainsaw. Do you think that'd be like? Do you think I'd get my man card back when I did that?
Many have said
They took away my man card
Yeah.
already for I can't remember what.
It doesn't matter.
But chainsaw.
Yeah, definitely. You will.
All right.
You'll feel it.
I'd like to chop a tree down with a chainsaw. Not that I want to chop trees down or anything like that. Love trees.
We love trees. We'll plant one in its place.
But if you got one and you got a chainsaw, give me the weapons and we'll see what we could do. It always felt like a cool thing to do. Maybe I'll just take an axe to it. Who knows? That would take too long.
That would be very Yukon Cornelius of you, though.
That's true, but he was more of an ice guy.
Oh,
he
had a pickaxe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would take a long time to chop a tree down.
What?
All right, we will be back. Josh has the odd news when we return on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
It was good to see Nebraska's special teams coordinator Mike Eckler last night.
That dude is jacked.
Who proclaimed that he was living out of a suitcase and was told to dress business casual. So he threw on a polo, and then all of a sudden he found himself at the podium talking and speaking and rattling off the number of return yards he had at Tennessee over the last couple of years.
Guy made a lot of promises.
He's like, I didn't really know I was going to speak today, and got up there and ripped it for a couple minutes.
You did fine.
I love the Cheddar Awards. There's always one of those every year. It's like, oh, this guy's here. Why don't we let him talk for a couple minutes? And all the other award winners too, not just former Reaver Caden Weetjen, who won the award, but the Legacy Award winner. Great tape on the Legacy Award winner.
Yeah.
And Kirsten
Former
Bernthal
Ute.
Booth, Mentor of the Year. Britt Prince. What was that? Like high school female athlete of the year or something like that?
It was the Jordan Larson Award.
Oh, the Jordan
yes.
Larson Award. I apologize.
But I believe, yes, it goes to the female high school athlete of the year.
That makes sense. And the male high school athlete of the year, who I can't remember his name. I apologize.
The Scott wide receiver.
That's right. That's exactly right. It was a fun night. Last night, could break bread with all of the luminaries and dignitaries, including Josh Hodson.
I was there.
Yep.
I shook many hands.
And Chris Prudon.
Oh, I was working that room.
And Rob Anderson.
The best in the biz.
And Damon Benning.
Oh, remember?
I do. People forget.
He called into the morning show.
Oh, did he? What did he have to say?
I don't know.
Did he use a
He did use an alias.
He did. All right. Well, you never know. You never know when that guy's just going to show up.
That's right.
All right, Josh, what do we got in the odd news today?
A lot of you people make fun of Terry Bradshaw. You call him an idiot and you say he should go home and not be on television anymore. Well, he's an American hero. As a lot of air disasters have been in the news as of late.
Hey.
There have been,
but yes, there have been.
However,
by the way, Damon's alias was Art.
Art. I knew it started with an A.
Didn't there used to be Art who called the show?
Caller Art?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, there was back in the day.
As an airplane landed in Pittsburgh, the crew was unable to get the door open for travelers to exit. That is when Terry Bradshaw stepped in to save the day.
He opened the door?
Rick Sayer of KDKA in Pittsburgh spoke to a traveler who credited Bradshaw for helping to force the airplane door open after passengers were stuck for nearly 30 minutes. The Steelers legend was back in town for a celebrity roast of Mel Blount.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So what has to happen in order for the door to be... You can't open the door, so you call upon the 76-year-old Terry Bradshaw to be the muscle.
That's right, Connor.
Behind the operation. I mean, there had to be another person in first class who was... Okay, I don't know. I'm sure he's a very strong man.
I don't have a lot. Maybe the stewardess loosened it for him.
Yeah. I do like sitting in that front row, but you get more of the foot space.
But you have to accept the responsibilities.
But you do have to accept the responsibilities. And you can't keep your backpack on the floor. You have to store it in overhead.
God help you if you keep that backpack on the floor.
You are not allowed to sit there. It is the thing that prohibits me from sitting in the front row every time.
I can't, ma'am. I'm a backpack guy.
I have a backpack. What are you going to do? Store that backpack in the overhead? No. I need the stuff in my backpack.
That's why it's in a backpack.
Exactly. I have to store my chips that I'm transporting from across the country in that backpack. And I want to eat some chips.
Connor, we go to Japan for story number 2. You're familiar with the Yakuza, yes?
Yeah. Well, I've heard that.
In a loose sense, it's the Japanese mafia.
Sure.
It is... legal seems like a strong word, but they operate in plain sight.
Very cool, very legal.
And the Japan's largest Yakuza organized crime body submitted a written pledge to authorities to, I guess, knock it off in layman's terms. Well,
really?
Yeah. Like, hey,
is that enforceable?
We're we're gonna tone it down a little bit. Senior members submitted a letter in person to police on Monday vowing to, quote, end all infighting and, quote, not make any trouble, a police official told a local news outlet.
Has the Yakuza stepped down?
Well, no, there's been a big turf war apparently
in
Japan, and it's gotten pretty bloody, and they've said, hey, we're gonna knock this off.
Now that is odd news.
It really is. Unlike the Italian mafia or Chinese triads, Yakuza have long occupied a gray area in Japanese society. They are not illegal, and each group has its own headquarters and full view of police. It grew from post-war Japan, and they're involved in a variety of activities, from drugs and prostitution to protection rackets and white-collar crime. In recent decades, the Japanese government has gotten a little more, hey, guys, we don't need to be doing this anymore, okay?
What's the American Yakuza?
The mob, the mafia.
But that's illegal, right?
Yeah. Crime is illegal. Yes.
Like if somebody came out tomorrow and they were like, hey, mob, calm down. What do you think would happen?
They would die.
Right? Hey, mafia, chill out. Okay? Can you give us a couple minutes here?
Hey,
we need to end this.
Stop it.
I don't know that would be received very well.
I don't think it would. No.
But then again, I don't know.
No.
Not familiar with those waters.
Finally,
Josh is. He knows people.
I do. I'm Italian.
You are?
My grandmother was Sicilian.
Me too.
Oh.
I'm Italian, Josh. Look at this. Most Italian show on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get some chicken parm.
We cover the most Italian conference in America, in the Big East.
We do.
Yeah. We do not care about the most Italian team in the NFL, though. The stupid Eagles.
I wore a suit.
Josh wore a suit. Didn't have pinstripes, though.
It didn't.
Should have.
This show should be sponsored by all Italian eateries.
Placat writes in.
Hi, Placat.
Josh wears a suit and now is talking mob. Interesting.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
An interesting observation.
Finally, we dip our toe into the waters of Paul Feinbaum.
Oh, great.
I will not play the clip for you because the audio is terrible. But Paul Feinbaum took a call yesterday from a caller named Slammer. And when the call began...
Yeah, Slammer, go ahead.
Slammer was busy. You can overhear a man saying, I lost about 40 pounds and I was doing real good. As Slammer continued to talk, Feinbaum repeatedly went to Slammer.
There was a doctor in the background asking how Slammer's stools were.
That's right. Feinbaum would say, Slammer, are you there? And a doctor was overheard saying, what color are your bowel movements? The person we believe to be Slammer, I guess I should say, said normal. And the doctor responded, well, what's normal? You know, like, hey,
yeah,
I need you to say it.
Fair question.
And Slammer said, brown.
It's good.
And that's when Feinbaum kind of realized what was happening.
Sounds like Slammer's getting a colonoscopy.
That's right. And he hung up.
So if I'm the call screener on Feinbaum's show, and I find out that the caller is in a colonoscopy appointment, I'm letting him in 100% of the time.
For that exact reason.
For
right?
that exact reason. And I imagine that's a part of the thought process here.
But like, you have an outlet for your takes,
unfortunately,
in which a lot of modern society doesn't. I mean, I guess Twitter or social media.
There's always podcasts, Josh.
Yeah, but if you're Slammer and you don't have access to a microphone, like what could be burning inside of you so badly that like, hey, I'm on my way to a very important doctor's appointment, but I gotta let Feinbaum know how I feel about Kalen DeBoer.
Maybe it's just a part of his day. Like maybe he calls Feinbaum every day at 11:30, and this time he just so happened to be in the doctor's office.
Hey Joey, I know you're screening calls today. I'll hang out here all day. That's fine. Just get to me when you get to me.
It's bad timing, I guess.
Right.
Just really bad timing. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something on that stupid show.
And now, here's what's going to happen. Let me predict it. Slammer's going to call Paul Feinbaum today and give details of the colonoscopy, and Paul Feinbaum's going to turn it into like
some results.
Like, hey, everyone, get your colons checked.
Maybe he turns it into like a situation where, you know, he asks them the results of it, and you know, there's a follow up. And Feinbaum, like he doesn't, credit to him because he doesn't really break character. He kind of just. I mean, it's crazy. If I was on the air and the guy and the caller on the other line was at a colonoscopy appointment, I would be on the floor. And he's just like,
"That's true.
Excuse me, Slammer, are you at a colonoscopy?
Colonoscopy
right now?" Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah.
I'm going to need you to put the phone equidistant between you and the doctor so we can hear both voices.
Yeah, why don't we just take a break? I'm like, no, we're going to blow right through that break.
Right through it.
All right, thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That is indeed the odd news. We will come back for the noon hour. Sipple is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Plenty to get to. RB2, Mac and Huss and Fred and baseball and people and teams being under consideration. Coming up on 1620 The Zone.
He has the latest sports news, expert analysis, award-winning commentary, and a pocket full of cabbage.
Can you give us an indication why?
Just in case there's a sauerkraut emergency.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I hope you enjoyed Jennifer Coolidge bringing you that radio timeout. It's not bad. It's just noises. Why did she do? Is that a bit, by the way? Did we ever get to the? Does she actually talk like that?
I've seen her deliver acceptance speeches at award shows, and that's her.
All right.
It's a little Owen Wilson-y. Like, if you can do an Owen Wilson, you can probably turn it into a Jennifer Coolidge.
What was his?
Wow.
What's the last Owen Wilson movie you saw, Josh?
He was in Loki, the television show, but I guess you asked movie.
Yes, that's right. Feature film.
Whoa, Marley and Me?
Whoa. When did Marley and Me come out?
I don't know, 05?
No, it wasn't Marley and Me. You saw you saw Hall Pass.
I did see Hall Pass,
All
yes,
right.
okay.
You saw
I'd like to
The
dive into
Internship.
I did.
I like that movie.
I'd really like to dive into this.
Did you see Two-Lander?
No, I
didn't
never
either.
did.
I didn't either.
Oh, I saw the Haunted Mansion remake, reboot, whatever, a couple of years ago.
He was in a Cars. Oh, he was the car in Cars.
Yeah, Lightning McQueen. Oh,
Okay.
he was in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Did you ever see The French Dispatch?
Where
Where he played a character named Herb Sazerac.
I did not see that Wes Anderson movie.
Sounds like an extremely New Orleans movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Yeah, I saw that.
Uncredited cameo. Interesting.
I saw Wonder. That was 2017.
I think the last time I saw Owen Wilson in a feature film would have been The Internship, 2013.
Cool.
I mean, I watched The Internship probably within the last 2 years.
Sure.
But also Little Fockers.
Oh, when was that?
Little Fockers was 2010.
Wow.
Well,
People forget they made 3 Meet the Parents movies.
How's this run for Owen Wilson? All right.
Okay.
So let's start in 2000. 2000, Meet the Parents. 2001, Zoolander. 2004, Starsky and Hutch. Also 2004, Meet the Fockers. 2005, Wedding Crashers. And then he's in 2006, he's in Cars, You, Me, and Dupree, Night at the Museum. That's 6 years. There's some movies in there.
Mhm.
I think I'd put that right up there with Hanks in his crazy run in that 3 years or whatever.
Okay, don't know that I'd go that
I'd
far.
put it right up there with Hanks.
And then came Marmaduke, Little Fockers, Cars 2.
Uh-huh. I'll pass. It was an okay movie. Kind of sad. Really. These movies kind of just turn out sad. Anyway, during the break, we were tuned into ESPN, and it hadn't hit me that there wasn't any golf on the TV. So I obviously had to change it to ESPN Plus, which is where you get the golf
That's where you
nowadays.
get the sports on ESPN.
Yeah, because on ESPN, there was the anchors of SportsCenter, and this is at the very top of the hour. It was right to start off the show. They had just come from the Masters. Noon SportsCenter is on the air, and they'd like to highlight the fact that it's National Pet Day. And they put one of their dogs in the full screen in the middle of the television. What is going on at ESPN, Josh? At
the start of the show?
At the very start of the show. What is going on?
Feels like an end bit. Like, hey, last 5 minutes of the show. Want to remind everybody, it's National Pet Day. Here's us with our pets.
Like, I don't like to do this very often, but really, I think the only worthwhile thing watching on ESPN anymore is live sports or Van Pelt.
Those are the only two things I watch.
You can't. All the other stuff is, all the other sports centers are bad. I don't know what they're doing in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
The chit chat shows and things of that. I don't know what's going on over there. They're canceling Tony Reale.
But also,
PTI is still cooking, I guess.
Yeah. I will dip in. Like, okay, what's the new 30 for 30?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too niche. I don't know anything about it, nor do I want to know anything about it.
Yeah.
I will pass.
Yeah. I don't know.
Unless it's Mark Gastineau bullying Brett Favre.
That one was funny.
That was.
But I only watched the clip.
I did actually watch that whole one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Also, we have a picture that is now going viral on Twitter.
Oh.
You can find it on @Happer Show.
Okay.
It's me candidly holding a Capri Sun and holding up a sign that says radio. God, I would hate to see if somebody changed that sign and turned it into something different.
Oh, no.
People forget about radio, Josh. Radio.
That's their fault.
Radio.
Radio's been great for the last century.
Radio. That's what's up there. You go find that picture at Happer Show. Now look at this. We have an opinion coming in. This is a little bit late.
Okay.
It's from Brian. I have an opinion. Stifler's mom does way too many commercials. Oh, just that one. It's just for Discover Card.
Double calf, double foam, double
whip, double
sleeve.
All right, yesterday, the big news, we officially got the official news that Creighton was bringing back Alan Huss as the associate head coach and coach in waiting. It's been a busy week over at Creighton. Obviously, I have a few lingering thoughts on this, but we did get some official press release quotes. I always think that they're worth reading, just to see kind of where people go. Huss said this: returning to Creighton, my alma mater, to work alongside Coach McDermott and contribute to the future of the program is an extraordinary opportunity, and honestly, my dream job. The chance to build upon the foundation of Blue Jay basketball while preparing to lead the program is incredibly special. I'm extremely grateful to Father Hendrickson, Marcus Blossom, Coach McDermott for their faith in me. Our family is absolutely thrilled to rejoin the Blue Jay community. There is definitely a quote in here from Coach McDermott as well.
Wow, they got Mac to quote.
I'm certain. Okay. There it is. I am excited to welcome Alan back to our program, not only as a valued member of our coaching staff, but as the future head coach of Creighton men's basketball. I have known Alan for nearly 20 years, and I could attest that his dedication and vision perfectly align with our commitment to a winning culture. When the time is right, this is something that we'll be talking about today. When the time is right, he will be the ideal coach to keep Creighton men's basketball among the nation's best. A big thank you to Father Hendrickson and Marcus for their teamwork and for bringing Alan on board. So, a couple things. I was thinking about this last night. I'm really just happy that we don't have to do the song and dance of the Wondering after every year. And this, because I was thinking about the timeline and the speculation is right, 1 or 2 years. But I don't think we'll have to do like this whole like, oh, is Matt going to come back? Is he going to retire? Is he going to go somewhere else? Nor do you have to worry about the future and going outside the family or who makes the hire and all that stuff. Like part of the reason why this is such a successful move, I think, for Creighton, or such a big move, an important move for Creighton, is because you cut off all those questions. So the only thing left is really the timeline, right? Your future is secure. You know who's going to be in charge next. He's here. He's back. You don't have to wonder about what's gonna, like. And I haven't heard one single Creighton fan who's been like, "Man, I just really wish we would have shot higher. I really wish we would have just rolled the dice and
done a full search, see who you could get."
Yeah. Which is amazing because I'm sure it was just trolling, but that's what I heard a lot from like Nebraska fans yesterday. It was like, hey man, like Creighton fancies themselves as this big of a program and all of these things. Well, why didn't it shoot a little bit higher? Why didn't it run a national search and try and pluck somebody out of a really good job? If Creighton is such a good job, then why couldn't they, lure a candidate of higher stature or something like that? Like, nobody is saying that, right? Except for people who are trolling, probably. And I obviously that's a good thing because I think it tells you a couple things. Number one, that Huss is probably the right guy, and he's in the right situation to do it. and that everybody, kind of unanimously, I think, in my opinion, from the way it looks to me, feels comfortable with that. So the only thing left is the timeline. And I heard Josh and Austin kind of talking about this idea yesterday in the afternoon. I would imagine that we will know either going into a season or early in one of the next 2 seasons that it will be Mac's last. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that's going to be a thing that's hanging out there. And I think everybody around here wants that. And I know he doesn't like talking about himself, but I can't really imagine him just saying after the last game, "Yep, I'm done. See you later. I'm out."
John Bishop here. We're at the Sweet 16 coverage. Tough loss today.
Sweet 16.
Tough loss today, Mac. I know you thought you had Maryland there in the second half, but you got by 'em.
Maryland?
Yeah, John. I just want to let you know I'm done. I'm out of here. Bye.
They lost to
Deuces.
Buzz. Well, maybe Buzz Williams if he's still there, I guess. Lost to Buzz Williams of Maryland in the Sweet 16. God,
these are examples.
What
these
the
are
hell, Josh? I'm actually out on this entire thing now.
Well, you lost to Duke 100-4.
No,
you're out.
No,
I'm out.
It was it in the first round, or the second round, of the Sweet 16, or the Elite Eight, or the Final Four?
Sweet 16. You only scored 4 points, and you allowed 100 to Duke.
I think probably at that point, Mac would be like, "You know what? I'm coming back."
Yeah, I ain't going out like that.
That's just not the way that this is going to end. 4 points? Really?
Had a 3-pointer in the first half, and then just a free throw in the second.
What
half.
if, like, ironically, the 4 points were on a 4-point play? So you made a 3-pointer and then had a free throw to go on top of it.
I thought that was going to start the run, John. I
just didn't do enough right today. I don't like the way that finished, so I'll see you next year. How about that, John?
I'm not.
I guess I'll have to deal with you for one more year. But I think he understands that everybody around here not only wants the clarity of what's it going to be going into a season, but they also want to say goodbye. And he should get his, like I said, I know he doesn't like. The worst thing for Mac will probably be answering the questions all year that are like, "Hey man, like, isn't this crazy that this is your last trip to Villanova? Do you remember that game where Doug and Rocky made all the threes in 2004? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I imagine that'll be horrifically annoying for him. But I think it'd be good. And maybe they do know this on the inside already. That's not the sense that I get. I do think it is truly open-ended with a certain time frame, right? 1, 2, 3 years, something like that. I think it is generally open-ended. And credit to Mac and Huss and all the people in charge who put this thing together, because you got them, and I really do believe it is truly open-ended. But like I said, I think I have a hard time, last game of the season, Josh just threw out a really weird scenario. But yeah, that'll be it for me. I'm done. See you later. Hey, Mac, I know there's a lot of wondering about what you're going to do next year. Yep, you wondered right. I'm leaving.
I would like to go now.
And I also think, like, people asked this question yesterday too. I also think he's going to be at least mildly involved in Creighton basketball post Greg McDermott head coach era. Like, I think there will be some of that as a fundraiser. He's got great connections in the community, like he and all of those things, and with
maybe a golf
sponsors
scramble
and donors and things like that. Like, I think he will. I don't think he will be a ghost and disappear. You know what I mean? He'll be around a little bit. Maybe he'll be WFHing, right? And H is in Arizona or something like that. But I think he's going to be at least mildly involved of what happened in what happens after he leaves, especially if he's called upon. And I would imagine, Huss will use him as a resource and things like that. So I'm not really concerned about that. And I think that is among the many positives to what happened yesterday and how this was all laid out yesterday by Creighton. I do think that's one of, like, doesn't it seem to have just kind of, it's weird because there's a certain amount of stress that comes along with losing a legendary coach and the greatest coach in your program's history. Obviously, there's always a wonder. It's like, okay, you're not really diving into the unknown here, but it's not Mac anymore. And that's weird. And that's going to be different. So there's obviously a certain amount of stress that comes along with that. But what I felt after yesterday is this kind of sense of calm. It's like, yes, Mac is leaving, but our future is secure. And like I said, there's no guarantees, but it doesn't mean it's for sure going to work. But if and as we said yesterday, I get the sense that they're really gearing up for however long Mac is here, and they're going to put everything into, these next teams winning big if they possibly can. And so there's that piece of it. And after that, there's no questions about who makes the hire and whose responsibility is what, and power struggles and whatever it might be. Like, you don't have to have any of those conversations. And that's why when people brought up all the Nebraska stuff yesterday, whether it was with Callahan or Solich, I mean, there was just a lot of Osborne stuck around for another year. Like he was like, we have a coach in waiting, but I want to try and come back and win a national championship. And I don't know that everybody was 100% committed to Frank Solich in that time. Like I just think as I've looked around here, everybody is pretty good with this. It at the very least satisfactory, and at the most elated about what the future is going to look like and who specifically is in charge going forward. Did you get that kind of sense at all yesterday? It's just like, okay, we could kind of take a deep breath. We've spent the last couple years, especially at the end of the season, kind of on pins and needles.
Is he going to go here? Is he going to go there?
Is he going to go somewhere?
What's happening?
Is he going to retire? And I don't think that was purposefully done. Like, that's just part of the game. And
right.
I don't think
you get to a certain level.
Nobody's mad at him about it or anything like that. It's just like, all right, we have a plan. It's great to have a plan, and they have one. And I think it worked out obviously as good as it possibly could have.
Imagine working somewhere without a plan. McDermott signed that lifetime contract or whatever, quote unquote.
Right.
And that sort of took a lot of the air out of the balloon of, well, what could he go here? Could he go there? But even after that, it's still, well, is he going to go to Ohio State? Is he going to go to Indiana? He's the betting favorite to get the Indiana job. Well, his name's on a building here, and he signed a quote unquote lifetime contract here.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it would be hard for me to see him coaching somewhere else,
but it's always popped up.
Yeah.
And it is,
but it was more about more so than him actually going somewhere and leaving and taking other jobs. Like I never felt like, I mean, he obviously got really close in, what was it, 2017, the Ohio State one. Mm-hmm. The second time the Ohio State one popped up last year, it was just like, yeah, I really can't see this time. As we've gotten past, let's say, in the NCAA tournament wins era, like in the second weekend era, which is the last five, is this the second weekend era of Creighton basketball, right?
I like the name.
They go to basically the second weekend every 3 out of the last 5 years. They've won a tournament game for 5 years in a row. They've won 9 NCAA tournament games over the last 5 seasons. I got the sense that it was more about how long is he going to be here rather than is he going to end up somewhere else. That's just how I've felt that it shifted. And there is still a question of how long is he going to be here, but at least you've told people in advance, and basically the response is not very long. Before, we didn't know what not very long meant. How long is not very long? Is not very long 10 years? Mm-hmm. Is not very long 5 years? Is not very long now? Mm-hmm. Like what's going to happen? Now we kind of have an idea of what not very long is, and your future is secure. That's kind of my lingering thought from yesterday. And the sense of calm that's come over the entire thing.
And eventually there'll be a press conference, and you'll be able. He'll say probably the same thing we've all been saying. I don't know when, but it'll be sometime in the next X number of years. But the plan is nice. It's not an apples to apples comparison with the volleyball transition, but like, boy, that was smooth, wasn't it? Like it all
As
kind
smooth
of,
as it could have been for how sudden it was.
yeah, it all kind of fell into place, right?
Hot Danger writes in.
Hi, Hot Danger.
Are there a lot of examples where coach in waiting has worked for the waiting coach and the school? I don't know. I have to think about that a little bit more. That sounds like a good list idea.
Josh and Austin went through some yesterday. Duke
worked out,
but that is definitely more of an outlier.
Well, but I mean, you can make the same case on a smaller scale for Creighton that you can for Duke.
Like, Connor thinks Creighton
on
is
a
Duke.
smaller
Oh,
scale, Josh. Creighton honk. On a smaller scale, like the program is in really good shape. You know, the coach isn't going to run it into the ground on his way out or anything like that. And
Both have blue in their nickname.
And the next coach is qualified, and they're alums, and like that's a halfway decent comparison. Probably, I think there's probably a lot of them, more than you would think. I think around here, the term sort of brings up bad feelings. Not specifically at Creighton, but
yeah,
probably more so at Nebraska, because of how it has worked and not worked in the past. But also, let's face it, like Danny Busboom Kelly at Nebraska was the coach in waiting. She just wasn't here, and she just wasn't named it, but she was. Mm-hmm. You know, for the last couple of years at least, I think I've sensed that was the case. Ron writes in.
Hi, Ron.
When Hoiberg hires a new assistant, let's talk 3 days about it. Getting old listening to the Clapper Creighton show. Thank you for your comment, Ron. It's appreciated.
This news broke 25 and a half hours ago.
I think that we should.
That's not 3 days.
If Fred Hoiberg welcomed the new assistant, who was a former assistant and is a high-profile mid-major coach at this very moment, and then had the tag with coach in waiting, we would talk about that for a long time.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know. We would talk about that for a long time. Alan writes in on Twitter.
Let's get to running back too, damn it.
Alan writes in on Twitter. He's set here, he being Coach McDermott. He introduces being fired and possible failure at other schools. Indiana is going to demand Final Fours for some reason, and Creighton doesn't. It's security. That's always the sense that I sort of got from him. That he didn't, and I think he's proven himself that it's amazing. He's one of the best coaches in college basketball without being at one of the premier programs in college basketball. And like we said yesterday, the only thing that's really missing from that resume is a trip to the Final Four or a national championship or something like that. And I do think that is part of the real push over the next couple of years. Can they get there? Can they do that in the swan song, whatever that might look like? Hot Danger follows up. What if it's Ty Lue? Yeah, if it's Ty Lue and they're like, hey, Ty Lue's coming back. He's an assistant right now, but he's the coach in waiting, and I'm going to retire. We would talk about that for a long time. Actually, people would be saying, why isn't this happening right now?
Why is that guy who won a Larry O'Brien trophy an assistant on your staff?
It would be very confusing. We would have a lot to parse through.
Ty Lue's never won a crown.
We would have a lot to parse through if that was the case, and I think we would talk about it for 25 and a half consecutive hours. All right, we will be back. Steve Sipple is our next guest.
We'll get his take on Mac and Huss.
Well, yeah, what if we asked him about coaches in waiting?
He might have a
take or two.
Yeah.
So there's a smooth runway into that conversation. Section 220 boys right in, by the way. All caps. Talk about this all day, baby. You're getting your love from Section 220. Kisses. Smiley face.
Kisses.
Thank you for the kisses. I appreciate the kisses. All right. Sipple's up next on 1620 The Zone.
Steve Sipple,
Hut, hut, hey!
The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Omaha!
Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we're joined now on the hotline by our dear friend, Steve Sipple from HuskerOnline.com. Sipple, hello. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you guys doing?
I'd say fine. We're just watching some golf.
Okay. Sounds fun.
It is fun. Did anybody bother you, by the way, during the Houston Duke game on Saturday night per your request?
Oh, that's a good question. No.
Because you humbly requested that nobody should bother you during that game because you were going to be locked in.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly humble either. I need to do more things humbly. No, nobody did. I enjoyed it thoroughly too.
It's a great game.
Oh God, was it a good game? Yeah, it's memorable. So yeah, no, I nobody did. God, there was some task I was supposed to complete with you, and I didn't. I can't remember what. I was going to text you something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What did we request that Sipple let us know about? It was.
I did.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was either.
Okay. So not that important. That's good.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was ever really important. But no, I don't even remember what it was. So
yeah, my follow through is not great.
That's okay. I tend to forget the things that I said on the radio like 6 hours after I said them. People will come up to me in the public and they'll say, "I can't believe you said that," and I say, "I said that? Oh my God."
Isn't that something? Why? Because we've talked so much, right?
Yes, too much talking.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you write compared to what do you remember better, what you write or what you say?
Neither particularly well. Yeah, there are often times when it's the same type of conversation where somebody will say, "Well, you wrote that." I'm like, "Oh, I guess I did." Or the guys on the show in Lincoln they'll ask me a question and I'll be like, "I can't really remember." They say, "Well, you just wrote it." Yeah, I still can't remember. There's just a lot. In this market, there's a lot of talk, and in my case, there's a lot of writing, and you don't remember everything you say.
Yeah. I wanted to get your thoughts. We were just talking about the situation that is unfolding over at Creighton with the coach in waiting situation. What is your general opinion on coach in waiting situations?
This just has to be managed correctly, and I don't think the wait should be very long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why am I immediately skeptical of everything? I don't know.
No, I'm not. This is not a setup for anything. I'm genuinely wondering your opinion.
And I'm genuinely skeptical of everything, including this. Now, it might be really good. I got to tell you, I have a little blind spot here. It all happened yesterday, and I was telling people I got to get into this and figure out what's going on. I haven't yet, so I know the bare bones. I know this. I have incredible respect for McDermott, and the news seemed like people were shrugging their shoulders and saying, "Oh yeah, this was coming." I'm like, well, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know this was coming. I didn't know McDermott was on the verge of retirement. In my mind, I don't mind saying it, he's a legendary coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the 10 best coaches in America, in my opinion. And so this is seismic to me. And I was sort of I always say taken aback. I don't know how else to say it. A little bit. I don't know. Just the shoulder.
Yeah, taken aback.
The shoulder shrug. Like, oh yeah, this has been going on. This makes sense. Okay. I mean, I've covered a program at Nebraska when we thought it made sense when there was a coach in waiting, and it hasn't quite made sense.
Yeah.
It didn't quite make sense. So let's see what happens.
Oh, okay. So that was sort of what I was getting at. Like, are there lessons from that you now think of and you're like, well, that was not the right way to do it?
Well, I would say the very simplistic lesson is don't just assume it's going to be as good as it was under McDermott.
Definitely.
Now,
yeah.
If you're a Creighton fan, you listen to Sipple and say, yeah, we can maybe hope that it'll be better. All right, let's see. But I respect what McDermott's done, and I see those teams. I love the style they play, and let's see what it looks like now.
Yep. Steve Sipple from Husker Online is with us. Okay, let's go back into football here. You wrote a column on the running back situation, and how it's coming along now. And Kwinten Ives steps into that number 2 spot. You wrote about it. He's kind of been waiting and now ultimately had an opportunity this spring. Is it good to hear that? Like, I sort of look at the running back room a little bit cynically, considering what I feel like maybe they don't have in that room. But I do think it's great that this guy, Ives, had an opportunity and grabbed it here when he was supposed to during this spring. That feels like what has happened. Would you agree?
Yeah, for the most part. I think, as usual, Holgorsen Dana was really honest in his assessment of it. And it was more about he grabbed it in December. Ives grabbed it in December.
Yeah.
And then carried it into the spring. What happened, Dowdell left, and God, I can't remember when that all happened. But Ives got a chance in December to really get more reps in practice, and he seized it and did well. He got a 2-yard touchdown. Not a big deal. In the Pinstripe Bowl, which we all forgot because the PAT was blocked. Could have been a really nice story. But,
that's right.
Yeah, the PAT was blocked, and we kind of forgot about Kwinten Ives, the kid from New Jersey, going into the end zone for the first time in his college career at Yankee Stadium. Got glossed over by another blocked kick. He seized it. It was revealing to me yesterday that look, he's a clear number 2. Okay, now you could say, well, didn't you assume that? Yeah, I guess I did in a way, but I like to hear it. I like to hear it from a principal, a coach, someone directly involved. So it's Emmett Johnson's clear number 1, Ives is clear number 2, and there's sort of little pack of guys that are battling behind Ives. So we know the situation, which is good. We know the situation better at receiver now. So it was productive yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like there's an air of comfort that goes over this entire thing because of Dana Holgorsen. I mean, I probably came into spring, wondering a little bit more, obviously, about running back, as you mentioned, wondering a little bit more about wide receiver. Those transfers are going to come in and step up immediately. And Raiola, does he take that jump? And we don't have the definitive answers to any of those questions, but is there is there a blanket of comfort and almost confidence that you get from thinking about the offense given who is now in charge? Or is it too early to say still on Holgorsen?
No, the answer is yes. I do have more comfort and it's not too early because he's a proven offensive coordinator, proven at a high level. Yeah, sometimes I do that too. I know Happer, I don't. I say, I'm not going to sign off on somebody. You can sign off on Holgorsen. I mean, he's done it at a high level. He's led at a high level. He's led programs at a high level. I'm definitely more confident in him. And I like Marcus Satterfield. He was fine, but he just didn't get the job done, right?
Yeah.
He didn't. There's just I think he's a decent coach. I thought Frost was a decent coach. Didn't get the job done. It doesn't have to be a personal attack. Just if you don't get the job done, you don't get the job done. That's what it is. And I do think Holgorsen, I think I give him a better chance to get the job done. And partially just because I like how direct he is. There's something to be said for that, because if he's being direct with us and the communication is such that we understand pecking orders and expectations, well, that's also being said to the team.
Correct. Yep.
And that stuff's important. Communication is very important in football. So I think you have a very skilled communicator, Dana Holgorsen, who also is probably about as skilled as it gets in X's and O's.
Speaking of Satterfield, I really truly, we like to joke around about all of these things, but I really appreciated what he said this week about taking the demotion and all of those things. Do you now, at the same time, Sipple, he's still in line to earn a bunch of money, which he could have done and just walked away and taken a giant bag of it at the end of last season as he's removed from his offensive coordinator spot. Do you tend to look at that situation cynically still, or was there kind of like a, wow, this is nice and this is refreshing coming off of what he said this week?
No, I'm glad you asked. I thought it was nice and refreshing. Now, just a mild correction. If he would have walked away, he doesn't get that money.
Right. I assume he would have been fired in that scenario. Yes.
Well, no, if you quit your job, you're not getting the money.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's cynical element to the discussion, but nobody forced him to go to that podium the other day, and kind of bare his soul and face that line of questioning. He didn't have to do that. I don't think that Matt Rule would require that. Maybe it would look strange to some people if all the assistants made an appearance this spring, but not Satterfield. So from that standpoint, maybe he felt compelled. But I don't know. No, I don't want to pour cold water on it any more than I just did. I liked it. I liked what I heard. It made sense. And no matter what you say about it, he got up there and took ownership of the situation and laid out a pretty good case of why you do it. And that is, every single day you preach to kids, you're going to get beat around in this world. And the key is how you respond. Well, Satterfield got beat around. He did. He had a rough go here as the offensive coordinator. And here he is getting on a podium and saying, this is, I want to finish the job here.
Yep.
And I work with a bunch of people that I love, and let's just keep going.
Yep. I thought that was
great.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Sipple, what are you up to this weekend? What are you cooking?
Oh, I'm going to go write a column right now, and I'm going to go get Buffalo wings and rings with 3 grandsons, and then I am going to work tomorrow, and I don't know what I'm going to do Sunday. But yeah, tomorrow's like in the middle of the day. There's media availability at noon, so you don't get to do too much in a situation like that.
That's true. I guess it doesn't probably feel like the weekend very much to you because you're always grinding.
I don't, not always, but yeah, that sound I just made, I have no idea where that came from, but it's not so bad. Okay.
Yeah, no. It's
Sipple, before you go.
Oh, interesting.
We had a discussion on the show earlier this week where Connor thought he could easily ride a motorcycle. As a hog enthusiast, Sipple, do you think Happer could handle it?
Yes, 100%. I mean,
Wow.
As long as you know how to operate a stick shift and a clutch, yeah, it's not hard at all. I mean, I was doing it when I was 12 years old.
Is it like
what do you have
riding
to
a
say
bike?
about that, Josh?
Is it as easy as riding a bike?
In some ways, it's easier because you're motorized. It doesn't take a lot.
You don't have to pedal.
Right, you have to pedal. Yeah, no, it's not hard to do. Not hard.
There you go.
Yeah,
All right.
My guess is Happer would be very good on a motorcycle.
Yes.
Any kind of motorcycle.
Sipple's got a good scouting report. Well, some would argue, Sipple, that you think too highly of me. So I don't know.
Happer's a division. He played college baseball, John. I mean, he knows. That's what I always think of you. You were a pitcher. I mean, I played Legion ball, and guys that went to college were good. And if you threw 85, you were really good. So that's how I look at it.
If you throw 85, you can ride a motorcycle. That's what I just heard.
Those skills translate.
If you can stand on a mound and throw 85, you can most certainly ride a motorcycle.
Okay. Thank you for your confidence, Sipple. It's always appreciated.
You're a great son. Thank you.
See you later. Steve Sipple. My father.
All right. Well, who am I to argue?
You got your answer.
Yeah.
That's it. No more questions, please. I'm like a golfer now. I will not be taking any more questions. Thank you, Platcat, for reminding us to ask him about that.
That was actually
because there's inevitably
great producing by you, Platcat.
There's inevitably always something that comes up during the week. Like, oh, we got to ask Sipple about this on Friday, and then brain erased.
I forget it 6 minutes later.
Every single day. All right, we'll be back. Little news on the official news on the Nebraska Cornhuskers side of things. The Cornhuskers have a new. They're gonna call. It's gonna be John Cook Arena. There it is. There's your stupid breaking news.
Wow!
John Cook Arena.
The nerve!
So that'll be cool. And I'm trying to read the press release, but I'm getting a 404 error every time I click on it. So I'm going to work on that at Huskers. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show. Follow us on Twitter at Happer Show for all the latest news and views. We may even say something interesting once in a while.
Unlikely.
Really, guys?
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Deciding on a college with your high school senior can be a little overwhelming.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
One of the best takes from Sipple that we've ever got is if you could throw a BP fastball, you could ride a motorcycle.
Didn't see that going that way.
Bet you didn't see that one coming, did you?
That would have been a good fake Sipple.
My guy, that's true.
You got to have reverence for the hog.
I want to say like the last, we haven't done a fake Sipple in a long time, but the last couple times we have done it, I've gotten a message on Twitter from a listener. He listens back to it and then will like message like, you have to do a fake Sipple and ask this question. The only way anything gets done around here is if somebody else like comes up with the idea for me. I could execute it, Parody song. I guess the whole parody song idea was my idea.
Yeah, I kind of gave you like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. I have no idea how to do it.
You gave me, you deserve more credit then, because you're right.
I eliminated the paradox of choice from you, where I was like, hey, this is the song.
Isn't it amazing how that all works, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of something the great Trev Alberts said to me a couple years ago.
Okay.
The great Trev Alberts. He said, coaches think that they want complete and total autonomy. What they really need is direction. What they really need is parameters. They need boundaries. He's right. And I think that applies to life, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what to do, and then I'll get good at doing it. Something to be said for that. An announcement from the University of Nebraska. The home of Nebraska volleyball will now be officially bearing the name of one of the legendary coaches in the history of the sport, as the University of Nebraska Board of Regents on Friday approved the naming of John Cook Arena at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. In addition to the naming of John Cook Arena, the project also includes a bronze statue honoring Mr. Cook on the north side of the Devaney Center. Nationally recognized sculpture artist and Nebraska native George Lundeen has been commissioned to produce the life-size tribute to Cook and his career. Will he be wearing a cowboy hat in the statue? I think it's taking the cowboy thing a little bit too far.
Well, in the announcement, they said an
I know.
arena fit for a cowboy.
I know. I think you just have to. You got to get him in his classic John Cook button-down checkered Nebraska volleyball on the pocket protector,
Sitting
there.
on the bench.
No, standing. Maybe with his arms raised or something like that. Like, what is the most iconic photo of
That's a great question.
John Cook? Could it be when he put the cowboy hat on? I don't know. I wonder if they'll put the cowboy hat in the statue. Cook said, quote, "It's an incredible honor. I'm truly humbled by all of it." I love when people say they're humbled by these things. Really, you're humbled? Hey, John, we're building you a statue. Oh, I'm humbled.
I'm very humble.
I would not be humbled in that situation. Connor, they're building you a statue. I'm the best.
About damn time.
Thank you.
I'm pretty great.
I'm so grateful to Troy, the entire Nebraska administration, the Board of Regents for the recognition. The Bob Devaney Sports Center and Terry Pettit Court are named after two legendary coaches, and it's an honor to be able to share the name of the facility with them. And to have a statue outside the arena just blows my mind. I'm so thankful for the run we had at Nebraska, and I know the program is in great hands moving forward. I continue to be amazed at the amount of support and all the messages I've received from Husker Nation since retiring in January. All this just reaffirms what I've always said, Josh. What did he always say?
The University of Nebraska doesn't care about Bob Devaney. You always say that.
What's the other thing we always say? There is no place like Nebraska.
We do say that.
The new John Cook Arena signage and the bronze statue will be unveiled later this year.
I am looking at this Lundeen. I forget the first name.
George.
And the sculptures in his gallery on the website.
Are they bangers?
They do not look like the Ronaldos and the Dwayne Wades of the world.
That's good. That's a good step.
Yes.
We've seen some bad statues recently. I forgot about that trend.
We have. There's a lovely Dick Butkus, Dan Marino, Joe Robbie. This is good work. This is good work.
Okay, good. What's the best statue that we have?
Ooh.
What's America's best?
Oh wow, America's best statue.
Well, I should probably give you some parameters. What's the best sports statue we have?
Oh, okay.
Is it the Michael Jordan one inside the United Center?
Oh, that's a good one.
In the atrium there. It used to be outside and now it's inside.
Statue, difficult word for me to spell.
STA.
That is the first one that came up.
I think that's probably the best one we have. That's the standard.
The Pat Tillman statue.
Oh, good one.
Is one
good one.
That's listed.
Good one. How about the hogs? How about the hogs outside of Arkansas Stadium? There's a wild pack of hogs statue. I love that statue. I think there's or maybe no, there's not a Jarrah statue there, but it's like Jarrah paid for it. He paid for the hogs. I think
paid for the hogs.
Yep.
The statue with the Chuck. That's a pretty good statue. I don't know if it's the best sports statue in America.
How could I forget? Of course. People come from far and wide to have their picture taken with that statue.
There's always someone taking a picture of that.
Black Cat says the woolly mammoth on campus. Josh, you know about that.
I do. At Morrill Hall.
Statue of Liberty, Hot Danger says. Good statue. Wasn't made by Americans.
That's right. It was a gift from the French.
J-Man, Ron Santo, and Ernie Banks said Wrigley. Even Harry Carey by the bleachers is great. TC says Jordan statue is number one. I agree. So there you go.
Yeah,
statue time. Statue time in Lincoln. Yet again. Build it. You know, they always say, build him a statue. Well, they finally did it.
They've taken you up on your offer.
Brent, by the way, says Rocky. The
Rocky statue? Yeah,
Rocky statue,
sure.
pretty good.
They always put something on the Rocky statue, and then that team immediately loses.
Aaron says the Bobby Orr one is pretty good. Well, didn't our guy who's going to make this statue do the Bobby Orr one? Isn't that what he said?
Dan Marino, Joe Robbie, Dick Butkus.
Okay, never By the way, a quick update here. I was looking for the details on a Flow Baseball subscription, but I won't need it today.
Banged?
Today's Creighton baseball game at Seton Hall has been postponed due to inclement weather.
Oh. So
I
they
don't
went
know
all
if
the way out there for nothing?
Well, I mean, the plan is still to play the next 2 days.
Well, yeah, that's the plan.
But I was told that today looked like the best weather day out of the 3.
Yeah.
And they already moved it up 2 hours. Oh boy.
So
I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they're going to try and play tomorrow, obviously. The game 1 will be at 1:00 Central tomorrow. And then they're going to try and do a double header on Sunday starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central.
Sure.
Good luck.
What do they do? I mean, they got the rest of the day.
I don't know. And by the way,
do you just bum around the hotel and you're like, hey, let's go see the Minecraft movie?
all of the Big East, in case people cared about Big East baseball, which
We
I'm
all
sure
do.
they do. I'm pretty sure all the Big East baseball series this weekend are on the East Coast. And as we know, all the East Coast schools are very close to each other. Thus, I would imagine that most of them, if not all of them, will be affected by weather in some sort of way. This is not good. I don't know when they're going to play baseball in the Big East Conference this weekend. Move everything to Omaha. It's beautiful. They should just play the whole Big East season in a bubble in Omaha. How about that?
Well, the title wouldn't count because it's a bubble title.
You ever think about that? Mickey Mouse title? Yeah. All right. We'll be back. The 1:00 hour is coming up on 1620 The Zone. couple statue comments here. Good one. Good Omaha memory from TC. Remember the Michael Phelps statue that was near the beach of Omaha? That big figure.
Oh, it was huge.
Yeah. I don't think that was I don't know what that was made of.
Was
Paper
like
mache? Yeah. He was up there for a long time. That's why we're Swimtown. We love when the swimming.
You will never be Swimtown, Indy.
Or where did they move it after it left here? San Jose or something like that? Imagine.
They don't even care about
They
events.
absolutely don't care. And we do. We love swimming.
You're nothing, Indy.
When's the last time you hosted the swim trials now? How long has it been?
When was the last time they were in Omaha?
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
2020? It was very COVID-y.
No, I thought we were supposed to have it that year, and then, oh yeah, no, they still did the Olympics.
Because my wife and I were the only ones there. 2021?
Yeah, that was supposed to be the summer where it was the College World Series and the swim trials, but then the College World Series got canceled completely. So what have we had it 3 times?
4. 8, 12, 16, 21.
Beautiful. I miss it. I saw that idiot, that big dumb idiot. Remember the idiot?
You're gonna have to be more specific.
Lochte.
Oh yeah. That's a big dumb idiot.
He was the big dumb idiot, but he was swimming. He was. That boy was swimming. He was swimming.
My wife probably held a microphone up to his face.
I worked at the building. I worked at the Chai when we put in the pool for the first time.
Oh, hello.
Was it 20, probably 12, 13, something like that? And I was like, so you're serious? There's going to be a pool here? And yeah, the deck is elevated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you build the pool, and then the fire trucks come in and they fill up the pool. And I was like, oh my God.
It's pretty dang neat to watch it happen.
This is where they play basketball. I couldn't stop thinking about that last night. We were at the Jet thing, and I would look up at the big scoreboard, and I'd say, hey, you know what? That scoreboard doesn't seem that high. They play basketball and hockey here.
Yeah, they sure do.
What happens when a basketball hits that thing?
Well, they lowered it last night, right?
I don't know. It seemed normal. I have no idea. But it always amazes me, Josh.
Whoa.
I am still a youth because I have my sense of wonder. I look at things and I say, wow, isn't it amazing what we could do with a good slice of teamwork? That was the message of last night. Nothing can happen without your teammates.
Can't be a great returner without your teammates blocking for you.
That's what Caden Witchen said. He was like, one of those things I wasn't even touched. Except for the kicker, who I properly stiff-armed.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. He was funny. He was really funny. He made a lot of good.
Sticking it.
Yeah, he made a lot of really good jokes about him. You know, obviously being surrounded by a couple thousand Nebraska fans and Nebraska supporters, and some Nebraska coaches and former Nebraska players and stuff like that. And he was just like, "Hey, yeah, so I played football at Iowa." He's like, and at the end of his speech, he goes, "Go Hawks." Everybody laughed. I thought that was fantastic. Hot Danger says MLB draft was supposed to be in Omaha that summer too. That's right.
It was supposed to be the summer of Omaha. They took it from us.
It's amazing. It could have been so good. That whole draft in Omaha thing really just went away. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
They really pivoted away from that stuff.
Let's not make a
then
thing
they
of it.
redid the draft, and now the draft is different. But I am eternally grateful for the draft, Josh. You want to know why? The Royals selected Jack Caglione in the first round of this year's draft.
They sure did.
And he hit a ball 120 miles an hour last night. How many people on planet Earth can hit a ball even with a torpedo bat, which Jack Caglione reportedly has been using?
Oh, so that's why he's been cheating.
How many people on planet Earth could hit a baseball 120 miles an hour? And how many of those people could ride a motorcycle? Probably 100% of them, according to Sipple logic.
A lot of numbers you just presented here in a very quick span.
120 miles per hour, Josh.
Well, how many runs did that score?
0. It was a single through
What?
the left side.
No.
It did nothing except for amaze me.
Did he score a couple batters later?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You're not following the Naturals?
I am not caught up with the Northwest Arkansas Naturals, but I can tell you that he will not be there for very long. I am so sorry.
Is a certainty.
I am so sorry to Springfield, Springdale, whatever, Arkansas. You will not be experiencing our sweet boy for much longer. Jack Caglianone's 120.9. I'm going to round up to 121, actually.
Whoa.
Mile per hour single tonight would be the 12th hardest hit baseball in the StatCast era.
12th.
And that's since 2015, I believe. That's a lot of baseballs that have been hit over that period of time, Josh. Many baseballs have been hit, but only 12 have gone faster off of a man's bat than what Jack Caglianone did.
Ever.
In the last 10 years.
Okay.
In the StatCast era. I don't know. I bet the legend is that Babe Ruth hit 180 miles an hour.
Definitely.
And it hit the moon or something like that. But Jack Caglianone's better. All right, let's take a phone call here from Douglas on the hotline. Hi, Douglas. What's going on?
Hey, guys. Hey, I just want to weigh in relative to the amazing, storied, historic, legendary Creighton basketball program where I think Coach Mack showed up to deliver the Jays to Elite Eight land. I think they were the second school ever to play basketball behind the Kansas Jays. But anyway, I'm so glad they're going with a diamond in the rough, an amazing potential prospect that nobody sees in Coach Hull, not even Big Ten Maryland. What a visionary program to not spend more. I mean, to get hired to get a proven winner at the Power D1 level. Shout out Creighton.
Thank you, Douglas. What in the hell?
One Beer Friday started a little early, am I right?
Sipping on Grandpa's old cough medicine.
I had a few Chardonnays on the way over. What of it?
Okay, so let's just try and run that back here a little bit. I believe by Coach Hull, he meant Coach Huss. I believe Coach McDermott has delivered the Blue Jays to Elite Eight land. Famously. They did go to an Elite Eight.
Remember, because you're sick of Creighton honks like Connor saying a play away from the Final Four.
So I think that was obviously bad takes, Doug, because of how bad the take was. So that was definitely bad takes, Doug. He was really all up in the comments yesterday, making fun of Creighton for hiring
a coach
who
had coached here.
Yeah. Yep. Cody writes in, that had to be YouTube commenter Douglas. Indeed. That was absolutely the same person.
That's right.
I understand that I am somewhat biased. I try to be as straight and narrow as I possibly can, but I understand that I'm let's try and poke some holes in this.
Well, I mean, he's just messily saying the thing we said earlier today, that you can combat that news with, well, you tell us Creighton's this big program that matters in all these different ways, and they didn't do a nationwide search to get the best possible candidate. They went with some guy at Little Old High Point.
So I guess is that the people saying like, oh, well, if they're this nationally prominent program, they need to have a national search and they need to have the big candidate and they need to, do all these things if they consider themselves that. Like, shouldn't it tell you something if they declined to do all those things and they didn't do all those things, that they didn't feel like they had to do any of those things?
Duke did what Creighton's doing.
We do this though in for the record, I have always been against this. I've always been against the idea that we resume hunt on coaches. But there's only so much you could do, right? Like, you know, it wouldn't go over well if, I mean, hell, Tennessee football tried to hire Greg Schiano, right, a couple years ago, and people literally revolted.
That's right.
Greg Schiano is a pretty good coach. He's a pretty well-respected coach. He just so happened to have been at Rutgers a lot. That's a hard job. It's a hard job to win at, right? This is not an apples-to-apples situation. But, like, don't you think it is possible that a coach just isn't what the resume says the coach is? Don't you think that it is possible that there are some good coaches, really, really good ones, who if they just got a shot, they're at the mid-major level or the low-major level or hell at the high school level right now, like they would win at a program that, you know, has the right infrastructure and history and tradition and gave that person the right weapons to be able to do the job. Like, people are getting all over Trev for making the hire that he made. Bucky, Mr. Buckyball. So Buckyball was the head coach at Samford for the last 4 years. And before that, in 2020, Mr. Buckyball was literally coaching at a high school. And people are like, hey, and remember, this is Texas A&M.
More money than God.
Texas A&M, the program who is routinely, definitely always right in the people they want to hire, right? The fans are always right about these things. They're like, are we sure about this guy? Like, it's on one hand, it's fair to wonder. On the second time, like I don't. On the other hand, I don't think it's fair just because a coach hasn't coached past a certain level to be like, no, this won't work. And I understand that we're talking about this too much now because this is just obviously a troll or a horrible take, and it doesn't need to be entertained. But like, honestly, I do like. I would love to try to poke holes in this, but I think Creighton did a pretty good job.
Hot Danger.
I had Danger.
We make fun of the Michigan man, quote unquote. Isn't this similar?
The Michigan man?
Mm-hmm. Like, Michigan always feels like, well, we have to get a Michigan man to head our program. We can't go outside the walls on this one.
I don't think that is the main headline here. I don't think the headline is that he is here because he coached at Creighton.
Bad Takes Douglas is in the chat now. He says, this is Scott Frost 2.0.
Wow.
Which feels like more of an insult to Nebraska than Creighton, but neither here nor there.
Scott Frost, outside of his time at Nebraska, has been a good coach literally everywhere he's been outside of his time at Nebraska when he was a bad coach.
Terrible.
Can't wait to see what happens at UCF because guess what? I have a suspicion that he's going to be a good coach.
Really? Ooh. That's interesting.
Yeah. That's just my sense. So you tell me what that is. Is Scott Frost bad? He certainly was here. He was really bad here. It was not good.
Remember the onside kick?
He was bad here. Don't think he was helped by the existing lack of infrastructure at Nebraska, given that he didn't have a boss and he let him do whatever he wanted. / by the end of his career, he wasn't even here most of the time. And then Trev Alberts comes in, and I think Scott probably liked his freedom a little bit too much. And then Trev said, you know what? I think coaches need perimeters a little bit. I referenced that quote a little bit earlier in the show. And by that time, Scott was already, he was already pretty much gone. So, like I said, it'll be interesting to watch because Scott Frost has been a good coach wherever he's been.
The 1 year at UCF?
The 2. He coached 2 at UCF.
One of those was a winless year. No, I don't know.
No, the year before he showed up, they were
Yeah.
winless. Then they went to a bowl game, and then they went undefeated in his second year at UCF. Then he came to Nebraska, and they stunk the whole time. And now he's going
the whole time.
Yes,
really.
Yes, they didn't go to a bowl game once, Josh. And then now he's returning to UCF, where, like I said, I think he's going to be pretty good. And Amazing Daniel writes in, he has one winning season as a head coach. Outside of Nebraska, he has 2 total seasons of being a head coach. The first year at UCF and the second year at UCF. The second year he was 13-0, but I'm referencing the rest of his career, most of it as an assistant, where he was really highly thought of as a wide receiver coach and then an offensive coordinator at Oregon. Pretty highly thought of, right? I'm just saying. There's more to the conversation than just what a coach's resume says.
The Lakers hired a podcaster, says Hot Danger.
It's a risk, but it can work. That's right. Jeffrey writes in.
Hi, Jeffrey.
How triggered will people be if UCF makes it in the playoff before Nebraska?
I don't know. I don't know that we got to worry about that, but I guess Arizona State did make it last year.
Oh, why don't... I'm interested. I'm interested in how triggered people will be. If you like, what will be the reaction if Scott Frost does well?
Oh, it will not be good. It will also not be good for Matt Rule. Matt Rule better hope that team doesn't win a single game.
Why do you think it won't be good? Because people have a really hard time looking in the mirror and saying, you know what? Maybe I'm the reason this is bad. Not that the fans are responsible for it being bad, but I'm saying Nebraska as a program. Yeah, it's funny that we talk about the lack of, how much stuff has gone wrong, like above the head coach's office for like the last 20 years, whether it be with athletic directors, leadership, administration, or even higher than that, with chancellors and presidents and Harvey Perlmans and, and things like that. We talk about this nonstop for 20 straight years. And then people are like, well, why doesn't the football thing work? Why are we trying to connect some dots? Like, you know what I mean? That's weird. It's weird. It's weird how that works, Josh. But yeah, I think people have and hopefully you're on a path to making that thing right and making it work. And you can let bygones be bygones because they're in the past and you have the right thing going on now. That's what we always think to ourselves. I do think Nebraska shares some responsibility in the fact that Scott Frost didn't work at Nebraska. I know we like to make it about the guy and then cast the guy off, but I do think it's a kind of a two-way street a little bit as well.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's all. All right, more thoughts on these things. We were going to get some other things on in that segment, but then Bad Takes Doug called in and then just really commandeered the segment, which is something we appreciate. We're back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, a couple things here. Let's start with a Masters leaderboard update. Hi, everybody. Oh, thank you. Are there crows? I think they deny crows entrance at Augusta National.
That's
Josh.
probably very
The
true.
crows try to get in, and they say, "Please go home.
Please, not here.
Please return to your
take it outside, crows.
Please return to your nests." Justin Rose is 8 under, leading the tournament. He's in the clubhouse after a Friday round of 71. That's 1 under, Josh. Bryson DeChambeau is right on Rose's heels. 7 under through 14 today. He's got a chance to either tie or pull ahead in the final 4 holes of the day. Victor Hovland is 6 under for the tournament. And look who is now made a charge coming into the day at even par, being made fun of by both you and me for being a short little baby and always pooping his pants in majors.
Oh.
Rory McIlroy.
Oh, on Friday, Rory McIlroy has decided that, hey, this Masters thing pretty easy.
Rory McIlroy, 6 under for the tournament. He made the turn today at 1 under.
Look at you. You know all the terms.
I know golf, Josh. I threw ball 85 miles an hour. I know golf.
I've heard that warrants you a motorcycle license.
He made the turn at 1 under and is now 6 under through 15. So he birdied 10, birdied 11, parred 12, eagled 13, parred 14, and now eagled 15. So he is right at the top of the leaderboard. There's also a man named Matt McCarty, who we told you about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And Alan Bell's pick, among many this weekend, Shane Lowry, sitting at 5 under, 3 shots off the lead at the moment. That's your. Also, Scotty Scheffler just getting his round underway. He is already the owner of a birdie. He'll probably just render this whole thing useless because at the end of the day, he's going to be 11 under and 3 shots in the lead, and people are going to be like, "Oh, okay." So that's how this one's going to go. And then he'll just hold on the rest of the weekend.
Just waited a day.
And everyone sits there and they're like, we on one hand, we desperately want to find the new Tiger Woods. But on one hand, I'm like, why does this guy win every tournament by 3 strokes? Can we have some fun? And he's like, no.
Give me a thrilling Masters Sunday.
Yeah,
Come on.
The best thing that ever, the most exciting thing that ever happened to Scotty was him getting fake arrested for being a nice guy that one time.
The pants were ruined beyond repair.
Beyond repair. Also, we brought you the story this morning of Nico Iamaleava, who is college football's first holdout, according to reports. But reports are now being refuted by guess who? Nico Iamaleava's dad.
Oh.
You ready for this one?
Okay. Hit me.
Nico's father on Twitter says the following: more games being played off the field than on the field. B-word Nakos. That's a new nickname. I'm not as comfortable with saying the B word as some are on this station.
Boy, they really let it fly. Some of them.
Yeah. B-word Nakos from On3 Sports called and asked me directly, and I told him I had no idea on what he's talking about. He said his close source that he trusts from his life, with his life, from the University of Tennessee staff gave him this. But and then he followed up in a second tweet, information. He's stopped the tweet in the middle of the sentence. Gave him this information. So y'all can ask them what's going on, because it ain't from us. That is from Nico's dad, Nick, N-I-C. This seems like a family that I definitely want to hang out with.
Why does it seem like he's not even refuting the report?
He just called him a B word.
Hey, Wasn't me. This didn't get out because of me. No, it got out because he wasn't at practice, my man.
I don't know who's giving him this stuff.
I don't know how you know that.
I don't know who's giving him this stuff.
Who told you?
This definitely seems like a super cool and normal family. I really like these guys.
I ain't no snitch.
Really like these guys. Another thing here, as we have a bit of a potpourri, hodgepodge here in this segment.
Love it.
Are you interested in postseason basketball clinching scenarios tonight?
Incredibly. Did you know there are no NBA games tomorrow?
I have some words. There's one left, right? This is the end of the regular season?
I think everybody has 2 games left.
Oh, okay. So when does the regular season end?
Sunday.
Oh, so everybody's going to play twice in the next 3 days?
Yeah. Nobody plays Saturday.
And nobody plays Saturday?
Yeah.
So literally everyone's going to play both Friday and Sunday?
It seems that way.
Interesting. So here's some scenarios for you.
Okay.
Denver clinched the playoff spot with a win and a loss by either the Clippers, Golden State, or Minnesota. The Clippers clinch a playoff spot with a win and a loss by either Denver, Golden State, or Minnesota. And Golden State clinches a playoff spot with a win and losses by Memphis and Minnesota. Memphis is locked into the play-in tournament with a loss and a Golden State win. And Minnesota is locked into the play-in tournament with a loss and wins by Denver, the Clippers, and Golden State. Los Angeles Lakers clinch a Pacific Division title with a win or a LA Clippers loss. Back to you, Josh.
Oh, yeah. That's easy to follow. No problem. Got it locked up in my mind like a steel trap.
And as we all know, of course, seeds definitely matter in the NBA playoffs.
Well, you want to be in the top 6.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be in the play-in tournament, but if you're good enough, why not play an extra game against a bad team? Who cares?
In the West, you can be the Kings and play the Mavs in the play-in tournament because the Mavs aren't trying.
Mm-hmm.
Probably okay there.
Oh, they're not trying?
Yeah. Well, everyone's injured and dead and
traded.
I feel like Nico probably wants to shut this season down as quick as possible.
Well, he just can't stand going to the basketball games anymore because he knows they're just going to chant him out.
That would be the best revenge.
Going to the playoffs?
For the Dallas Mavericks is to really get on a run here.
More opportunities to say sell the team and fire Nico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about a televised playoff game?
Actually, you're right. That's the worst case scenario for the Mavs.
It is.
They win, and they're on a bigger stage.
Mm-hmm.
And Anthony Davis. Oh, no, I'm Anthony Davis. I'm hurt again. Ouch.
Just not feeling it tonight, Coach.
Anthony Davis. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a postseason headline for you. Anthony Davis scores 26 points and shoots 14 three-pointers and makes 2 of them as Mavs lose to the Grizzlies, and chance of Fire Nico ring out amongst the crowd. What do you think? Grade that headline.
It's very wordy, so it's probably a real headline. I'll give it a B.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Jeff wonders on the text line who makes it into the NBA crown.
Is the play-in tournament kind of the crown?
No.
Because
the play-in tournament are teams that could actually make the playoffs.
So
there is no NBA crown.
Would the winner of the NBA draft lottery be the winner of the crown?
Yeah, I mean there is no current setup with that the crown. There is no.
But they won something.
There is no tournament for the 11 through 16, 15 seed in each conference. There's nothing for them
for the final third of the league.
Yeah, but they're free to make one. If Fox wants to make more money, they should make an NBA crown. They're not in the NBA, right?
They do not have the NBA.
Crown.
Yeah,
do an NBA crown. That'd be fun.
Who wouldn't want to watch Wizards Hornets?
Everyone would love that.
Yeah.
They've been playing the entire season, and already no one has watched them. Also, there was one other thing that I wanted to pass along your way before we get out of here.
Okay.
Andy Katz has made a power 37. Now, last I checked, I always thought Andy did 36. And I always thought that before that, normal people did top 25s.
Yeah.
But Andy Katz has decided to do a power 36, and now he has expanded, much like the NCAA tournament is going to expand, to make it a power 37.
But just slowly so that he can every year just add A couple.
In that Power 37, he has Houston as the number 1 team, led by Pop Isaacs and his hip next year. And, he goes on throughout the UConn is number 6 and St. John's is number 7. And the
St. John's number 7.
Creighton is number 23. And there's a couple Big Ten teams that are scattered in there. And rounding out the 37 is crown semifinal loser Boise State at 36, and Nebraska player getters Iowa at 37.
So they're in the 37.
They're in the 37.
Even though they didn't make the Crown finals.
But wait, there's more.
Okay.
There is beyond the 37 teams under consideration.
Whoa. Hello. That's where you want to be.
And there are 10 teams under consideration.
All right. Why not just call it a Power 47?
47 teams that Andy Katz is just listing.
68 get into the tournament, Connor.
And guess what? Nebraska is one of them.
Under consideration.
Yes, that is correct. Under consideration.
How many UCs does Creighton have?
Well, they're in the... I'm not going to... They're not under consideration, Josh.
That's
Good point.
right.
Good point. We're back with the polls, and we'll tell you what to watch next on 1620 The Zone.
After further review, the host is deemed to be out of bounds. The Connor Happer Show returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone.
The boys of summer are back. Kansas City Royals baseball can be heard all season long on your home for Royals baseball in Omaha, 1620 The Zone and 1180 The Zone. Royals baseball is presented by J. Stinnett Contracting. We have you covered.
To the polls at Happer Show.
We got them
on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. 2 polls today. Sorry, I apologize. If I sound emotional, it's because I've just sneezed a lot.
Oh,
during
I
the
thought
break.
it was because Creighton wasn't under consideration in Andy Katz's Power 99 or something like that.
Egg salad hat? ? Now that is a good poll with no context.
Exactly.
Egg salad hat in both real practice, where we mean there's a guy with a hat that says egg salad on it, and what you think it might mean, which is a hat made out of egg salad. Both a hard no for me, Josh.
The hat is not for me. I like the hat. If you like egg salad, I'm glad you eat it. It's great. Yeah, not for me. Not for me.
76% say no to the egg salad hat. And finally, are you a food guy? I believe there's something that Matt McMaster proclaimed this morning, that he was a food guy.
I'm a food guy. Happer.
To which I said, I don't know anyone who's not. I am a food guy. Well, interestingly enough, 90% only of people are saying that they are food guys.
Wow.
Maybe 10% are food gals.
Okay, sure.
Or maybe they are not food guys, in which case, how are you alive?
Food is fuel, Happer.
Say, how do you mess with food? What do you think?
Oh, I'll mess with some food.
First date, you go hang out with somebody trying to get to know them, and you're like, you know what? I really love food. You're just trying to find something to vibe. And she goes, God, me too. I love it.
Wow, we have so much in common. Will you marry me?
I love food. Let's talk about it. That's great. Those are the polls. Josh, what are we watching tonight?
We got baseball this weekend. Pirates, Reds, Apple TV tonight.
Chance says Josh's Matt impression was veering dangerously close to Ben Shapiro.
I don't know the parts my wife has. I'm Ben Shapiro. Tigers Twins tonight, 7:00 on Apple.
Nice.
Giants Yankees FS1 tomorrow afternoon. Cubs Dodgers Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. College baseball on your television this weekend. Nebraska at Iowa, 1:00 Sunday on BTN. And I think this will be followed by Nebraska softball.
Oh.
Number 21 Nebraska at Northwestern, 4:00 Sunday on BTN. I don't know why I feel like the need to say it like that.
ESPN.
The NBA final weekend.
I'm Jeremy Schaap. ESPN.
My dad knew Bobby Fischer. No games Saturday in the NBA. I think that's a really odd scheduling quirk. I've been thinking about it for literally the last 2 hours.
Wow.
As I've compiled these games. Pistons Bucks at noon on Sunday on ESPN. They also play each other tonight in Detroit. Another weird scheduling quirk. Clippers Warriors 2:30 Sunday on ESPN. Hockey National Championship tomorrow on ESPN2. Boston takes on Western Michigan at 6:30. You got golf all weekend long. Of course, CBS it'll switch to on tomorrow and Sunday afternoon with Jim Nance. The Love Volleyball semifinals are tonight. Omaha beat Madison as they always do. I guess Nebraska beat Madison as they always do. Omaha has advanced to play Houston tonight at 8:30 on ESPN2. The championship is 3:00 Sunday, also on the Deuce. Nebraska women's bowling looks for its 12th national championship. They take on Youngstown State right now on NCAA.com.
What?
The Penguins won the first game 1-0, but there's plenty left. Don't worry. It's a double elimination tournament. They'll face either Jacksonville State or Wichita State in the next round. The finals are at 8:00 tomorrow on ESPN Plus from Vegas.
ESPN Plus.
The 10 Commandments is on ABC tomorrow night.
Well, okay. Whoa.
And The Last of Us returns to HBO 8:00 Sunday night for season 2.
I've received an email from Gary Java.
Gary Java.
Gary Java is reminding us that there is a couple local angles to the Masters. Matt McCarty, the guy the American, he won the Pinnacle Bank Championship, the one at Indian Creek.
Yeah.
Scotty Scheffler played in 2 of those, and Sanjay M apparently played in 2 or 3 of the Pinnacle Bank championships. Thank you, Gary Jabba.
Thank you, Gary. I like that Gary keeps us between the rails.
Well, yeah, he knows what he's talking about on the Pinnacle Bank championships.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. All right. Josh.
Connor.
What a week. Thanks.
Thank you.
That is it for us today. If you miss anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is next.